Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome, everyone. It is Thursday, July 14th, 2011. This is the Alex Jones Show. I am the fill-in host today, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Glad to be with you today. Alex is taking the day off from the studio here, but he's not taking the day off. I don't think Alex ever takes the day off. No one works harder than Alex Jones. He's been shooting a lot of videos lately and posting those in near real time on the YouTube channel, so check those out. He's got videos every single day. Today, we have just a wealth of news for you. We're going to be breaking down the situation with, well, breaking news, tainted beef hits Japanese market. We're going to be talking about the debt ceiling. And we have a lineup, an incredible lineup of guests for you today. Remember the woman in Oak Park, Michigan, Julie Bass. She's the one who's being threatened with 90-plus days of jail time for the supposed crime of planting a vegetable garden in her own front yard. Yeah, it's a crime now to do that, to grow tomatoes and cucumbers and vegetables in your own front yard. She's going to be joining us at the bottom of this hour to tell her story and give us more details of the situation, how it's unfolding there in Oak Park, Michigan. We've got Jeffrey Smith with a GMO update in the second hour. We've got Jonathan Emord, the attorney who is one of the best attorneys on health freedom issues. He's achieved victory against the FDA on multiple occasions. He's going to be joining us in the third hour. We've got Paul Joseph Watson joining us with an update on the Libya war situation. Yes, it is a war, despite what they tell you in Washington. And we've got Aaron Dykes joining us at the top of the third hour with an update on genetically modified foods and the industrial complex that's trying to shove those down our throats. But let's get into some of the headlines here. I'm just going to cover them briefly. We'll get into more details on the other side of the break coming up here shortly. We've got tainted beef hits Japanese market. Right now, Japan has realized, oh my goodness, people have been eating beef that's radioactive. It has up to 7 times the level of radioactive cesium that is allowed by law. And it has been sold into the food supply. Remember when we warned about this? Remember? Right here on the show, Alex was warning you about this. We were talking about this. The food supply is tainted with cesium. It's not an exaggeration. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's physics. Cesium is in the food supply, and it's in the beef in Japan that is now being consumed. In fact, they say this is from the Wall Street Journal. It says that some of the beef has already been consumed, Japanese government officials said. Oops. There's no way to undo that, I suppose. Radioactive beef, we call it pre-cooked beef. You don't have to microwave it as much as you normally do. And look, imagine what's in the food that they're not telling you about. I mean, this is the stuff they're admitting publicly. Imagine what they're not admitting. It's not just the radiation. It's also the GMOs. It's also the chemical preservatives. It's also the artificial food colors that we know cause behavioral disorders in children. It's many other contaminants that aren't even listed on the label. So many things in the food that they won't tell us about. It's amazing when they ever admit something. DC firefighters now are being called on to help police the streets in Washington, D.C. Yes, this is an amazing new program in Washington, D.C. Firefighters and EMS personnel have been asked to park their trucks in high-crime neighborhoods, and this is supposed to prevent crime. Look, I wouldn't park my truck in a high-crime neighborhood. Most people wouldn't. But the firefighters are being asked to, but they're not given any firearms or any training on how to deal with criminals that might come up to them in those high-crime neighborhoods. Anyway, stay with us. We're taking a short break here. We'll be right back to break this down and talk about the debt ceiling and a lot more right here on The Alex Jones Show. Come back.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal-Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Cal-Ben on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Cal-Ben on the web at 5starsoap.com. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you'll love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond Gusset Jeans. Made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond Gusset Jeans got it. Others don't.
Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in today for Alex Jones. I'm the editor of Natural News and a frequent contributor to Infowars.com, where we break down issues like health freedom and GMOs, the chemical contaminants in your food supply, and many other issues. And before the break, we were talking about this new thing in D.C. The firefighters are being asked now to play a police role. Check this out. The city is asking them to park their fire trucks in high-crime neighborhoods, right? Because just the presence of their fire truck is supposed to somehow suppress crime in those neighborhoods. But, of course, firefighters are up in arms over this, except they don't have arms. I mean, they don't have firearms. But they're protesting it because, look, they don't have the firearms. They don't have the training of how to deal with criminals, with violent crime, physical combat, that kind of thing. So they're not given the proper training or equipment to deal with these law enforcement situations, and yet they're being asked to play a law enforcement role. Now, this isn't the first time. Remember when the postal workers were asked to spy on Americans when they were delivering the mail? They were supposed to be on the lookout for anything suspicious and report it to the government. Yeah, because they're going house to house. Why not turn them into a band of little secret police? This is what's happening in America today. Everybody who's on the government payroll is now eventually likely to be asked to play a law enforcement role. This is how police states happen. And today it's the firefighters. Tomorrow it's the teachers, let's say, or it's the people at the DMV. Maybe they're supposed to report terrorism. In fact, I think they were already asked to do that. But firefighters, a union spokesperson for the D.C. police says, quote, I think this is a disaster. You're putting untrained, unsupervised, unequipped firefighters in some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in town to perform a law enforcement function. I mean, what are they supposed to do? Fight back with their hatchets and fire hoses? Turn on the fire hose, Bob. We've got an armed gang approaching our fire truck. I think they're likely to get their fire trucks jacked. Look, there's a fire truck rolling around D.C., and there's no fireman in it. Somebody took that for a joyride. Moving on, Apple pays a South Korean user compensation over the iPhone tracking. Wow, okay. Remember when we were told there was no tracking going on, and that was just a crazy conspiracy theory? What tracking? What are you talking about? These are just cell phones, and they're not even bad for you. They don't even cause cancer. Nothing wrong with cell phones. Load them up. Use them on both sides of your head at the same time. Who cares? Make your head into a giant toaster oven. It's all fine. Now, it's come out that the tracking is happening. It has come out that that the phones actually synchronize with the Apple servers, and they upload tracking information about which cell phone towers you're connected to every hour of the day. So now they've agreed to the first payout ever from Apple Inc.'s Korean unit to pay compensation to a user. And the compensation is for collecting location data without consent. Aren't they doing that to us all? If they're going to pay a South Korean user some compensation, what's going to happen in the U.S.? What if everybody who uses an iPhone asked for compensation? Company would be in some trouble. By the way, related to Apple, there's another story, and we posted this earlier today. There's a guy, a young guy, who sold a kidney in order to buy an iPad. Yeah, he sold a kidney. This is in China. And I think he got something like $3,000 roughly for his kidney, one of his kidneys. And he went to a hospital. They surgically removed it because, you know, the organ trade is quite a prolific and very profitable system throughout China. The whole black market of organ trading is just, that's a whole nother show right there, actually. And that goes on in the U.S. too. It's not just China. There are organs being traded all over the place in the U.S. market and in Canada as well. Whole nother story. But this young guy sold his kidney for $3,000 to buy an iPad. And now he's having health problems. Go figure, you know. Your kidneys are in there for a reason, folks. Your gallbladder is in there for a reason. I always hear these stories about people having the gallbladder removed because they have some pain in their side, and the doctor says, no big deal. Well, let's just take it out. We take it out all the time. It's routine. Everybody does it. Just take it out. And they don't even tell you what it's for. Like, oh, you might need some digestive enzymes to digest some dietary oils if you're missing that part. That function, every organ has a function, you know, the liver, the heart, the gallbladder, and yes, the kidneys as well. And if you're missing those organs, something's wrong. I don't think an iPad can compensate for that. I don't think you can download an iPad app that's going to clean the junk out of your blood like your kidney does. Doesn't work that way. Moving on, the debt ceiling today. This is a big issue. And by the way, for those of you just joining us, I'm filling in for Alex today. Mike Adams, the health ranger, happy to join you just in case you didn't recognize who's talking. Who is this? I'm not Alex Jones. I'm Mike Adams. Thank you for joining us, and we have an action-packed show for you today. Lots of guests lined up. We're going to have, in fact, Julie Bass at the bottom of the hour. She's the woman in Oak Park, Michigan, who's being threatened with jail time for growing her own garden. We're going to get to her later. Obama walkout linked to debt panic ploy. That's the headline. On Infowars.com, Paul Joseph Watson, he's got a great story on there. Check out Infowars.com today for the breaking news on this. The debt ceiling issue is coming to a head. August 2nd, that deadline is coming right up, and people are starting to panic out there in the U.S. That is, I should say, people who don't know what's going on, people who don't really listen to the Alex Jones show because they're too busy to be informed. They don't know what's going on, so they're starting to panic. And Obama said, hey, look, August 3rd, we don't know if we can even send out the checks. That's right, all those Social Security checks going out. How many tens of millions of people are on Social Security checks? And other checks. It's not just Social Security. It's also veterans checks. We're not sure if we can even send those out. That's got some people in a panic. So now Obama is in this crazy game of financial chicken with Congress. And in this game, Obama doesn't even admit that Congress is the entity in government that's supposed to control all the finances. Remember that? Congress controls the purse strings, and Obama and the executive branch of government simply carries them out. Well, that seems to be going by the wayside all of a sudden, because the executive branch wants to invoke all of these crazy... Remember the stuff from, this strange segment in the 14th Amendment that was used in the Civil War reparations? Wants to invoke that to make us raise the debt ceiling and go deeper into debt. Well, anyway, Obama walked out, and now the Republican leaders are they're playing that chicken game with him too. Look, folks, this is all theater, okay? They're going to reach some kind of agreement before August 2nd. You can be sure of that. They're going to reach something. This is just jockeying for position. This is political posturing. This is, everybody's trying to say, we're not going to back down. But eventually they will have to, because if they don't reach an agreement before August 2nd, in fact, they need to reach it well before August 2nd so that the government can actually get organized enough to send out the checks on August 3rd. So they will reach an agreement, because if they don't, on August 3rd, guess what's going to happen? The U.S. credit rating could be downgraded. In fact, Moody's is now, this is in Bloomberg, Moody's places U.S. on review for downgrade as debt talks stall. Moody's, finally, look, the U.S. has a AAA debt rating, which it should be junk bond status as of right now, and they're threatening to downgrade them just slightly, just a little bit, from the AAA super wonderful rating down to something slightly less than super wonderful. That's what the threat is all about. Well, the U.S. can't afford that, because if its debt rating was downgraded all of a sudden, it would cost more money to borrow money. But what's the point anyway? Because the Fed just keeps printing more money, more quantitative easing, which is really just a code word for creating more fiat currency that's devaluing the value of your dollars, the dollars that you're depending on from Social Security, from your paycheck, from your retirement fund, whatever it might be. Those dollars are becoming increasingly worthless every single day. It's like Alex said on the show earlier this week. Sure, you may get your Social Security check after August 3rd, but it's not worth as much anymore. Guess what? The joke's on you. Ha ha. You got your check. It still has the same numbers on it, but those numbers don't mean half as much anymore. That's where it's all heading. In the near future, if the Fed keeps on printing money, you could be getting your Social Security check. They could add a couple of zeros on the end of it, and you could still maybe buy a few loaves of bread and put a few gallons of gas in the tank, and that's about all it's going to be able to handle, because the dollars themselves are increasingly worthless, thanks to the Fed, thanks to these cowards in Congress and in the executive branch who don't tackle the real issue, which is eliminating the debt, which is bringing down government spending, which is cutting government by as much as 80%. I think let's cut it down to where we can actually afford a government so that we can actually pay our way and not go deeper into debt. They don't want to do that. Obama wants to raise taxes. Well, what's the point? What's the point? If they raise taxes, they're just going to find another way to spend those trillions. Going to spend it. You think that's going to come back to you as some kind of savings down the road? You think they're going to invest that in something that's going to help you? Not a chance. It's just going to be spent and wasted away on more government programs. And then 2 years down the road, the government will be broke again. And then they'll say, guess what? We're broke again. And if you don't give us another couple of $1 trillion in taxes, we're not going to be able to pay our way. So it's one emergency after another. They keep milking us for more and more dollars as the government remains in a state of bankruptcy. Stay with us here. On the other side, we'll be talking about Julie Bass in Oak Park, Michigan. Mike Adams here on The Alex Jones Show. Stay with us.
Iodine protection packs from hempusa.org are now in stock for immediate delivery worldwide. Our iodine protection packs include microplant powder, green life kelp, red palm oil, and our clear roll-on iodine that will feed the body the iodine it needs. All iodine protection packs are in stock, save you money, and ship for free in all 50 states. Visit hempusa.org or call 908-691-2608 today.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it led back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a silver dollar in a book explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
You've heard great things about Berkey. You've been thinking of getting a Berkey water purification system, but for some reason, you haven't made your purchase just yet. Okay, here's one more reason to buy the best water purification system you can buy now. The Berkey guy at GoBerkey.com is giving away free Pelican flashlights. Yes, with every purchase of any Berkey water purification system from the Berkey guy at GoBerkey.com, you'll receive a free Pelican 2360 LED flashlight, a $39 value. But it won't last long. This offer ends tomorrow. Hurry, call 877-886-3653, 877-886-3653, or shop online at GoBerkey.com. That's go, BERKEY.com. No coupon code necessary. A free Pelican flashlight is yours with every purchase of any Berkey water purification system only at GoBerkey.com or by calling 877-886-3653. Hurry, offer ends tomorrow.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
Where can you find a super strength potassium iodide supplement? Right here at thyroidki.com. With global radiation levels at record highs, is your thyroid safe from radioactive iodine poisoning? Potassium iodide, the key ingredient in Thyroid KI, is proven to block radioactive iodine from damaging your thyroid. Thyroid damage is permanent and can lead to thyroid cancer. Unlike other potassium iodide products, Thyroid KI is formulated in convenient 32.5 milligram tablets and is independently tested for purity with a 100% money-back guarantee. With limited stock selling fast, act now. Prepare yourself and protect your family. Use coupon code THYROID for a 10% discount. Visit thyroidki.com. That's thyroid, the letter K, the letter I.com. Thyroidki.com or call 855-599-9444. 855-599-9444. Again, that's 855-599-9444.
Welcome back, friends, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Alex Jones Show. I'm your host today, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, editor of Natural News, and frequent contributor to Infowars.com on issues like health, freedom, and GMOs, many others. We've been talking about the debt ceiling in the last segment, and I've got some freaky news for you here today. 15 examples that show many Americans have become desperate. They will do just about anything for money. This is from the Economic Collapse, and this is posted on Infowars as well. Check this out. You're not going to believe this. In Utah, a 28-year-old man is offering to be hunted. He's offering to be human prey for hunters for the bargain price of $10,000. And for an additional $2,000, he says he will run around naked. I don't understand. Why is that an extra fee? I mean, that should be a penalty. I'm not sure that there's a big market for that kind of hunting going on, but it just shows how desperate people are. Wow, the Huffington Post is reporting that there's an epidemic of air conditioning thefts all across the country. Remember when they used to steal the air conditioning for the air conditioning unit? Now they're just stealing it for the copper in it. You've got thieves all across the country bringing down the power grid in local communities just because they want to steal the copper wire. No kidding, copper's going sky high. And alongside that, by the way, this whole issue of minerals that you've got to mine out of planet Earth, these minerals are going to be in very short supply in the years ahead, especially the rare earth minerals. Rare earths, they are mined out of the dirtiest mines you can imagine in China. For the most part, China controls the vast majority of the global supply of these rare earth metals. And these are used in solar panels. These are used in wind turbines. These are used in electric motors. These, the metals and minerals that are the dirtiest mined metals in the world, these are used in all the so-called green energy devices. Isn't that interesting? There's a dark side of green when you get into the mines that we don't often talk about. I'm not saying solar's bad. I mean, I use solar panels. I'm not saying wind is bad. Wind is good. Wind energy is good. It's clean. But there is a supply line issue. It does depend on these rare earths that come from China. But getting back to the financial desperation of the American people, in Corpus Christi, Texas, thieves have been breaking into funeral homes to steal embalming fluid, if you can believe that. Who goes in to steal embalming fluid? Can't they just drink a lot of diet soda if they wanted that? There's formaldehyde that comes out of some of the breaking down of aspartame there. So stealing embalming fluid doesn't make any sense. Police officers, one Chicago police officer stole $50,000 from his elderly father to pay off his bills and gambling debts. That's too bad. Nothing is off limits these days. Criminals recently broke into a beauty supply store and stole $30,000 worth of hair extensions. It's probably a special on those on eBay right as we speak. Look, the bottom line is that the desperation is growing out there. People are losing their jobs because the economy is in a scheduled, engineered implosion. It's collapsing by design. It's designed to make people desperate, to put people on the streets, to put people on the government payroll, to put them on unemployment benefits and food stamps, because that's where people are easier to control. And the idea that individuals and entrepreneurs could go out and start their own businesses and have a successful business, that's being suppressed by things like Obamacare, right? Where the big corporations that have the inside track with big government, they get the waivers. Don't worry. If you're McDonald's or some of these other companies, you don't have to buy insurance for your employees. But if you're an individual entrepreneur trying to create jobs in America and do something innovative, you are punished. You are financially called to task by the government. This is what's happening in America today. The regulatory environment is so oppressive. And even in the health area, we've talked about this a lot, that the cancer cures that really work, all those clinics are chased out of the country. That's why the cancer clinics that you go to today that really do the job, they're in Mexico or the Cayman Islands or other places. They're not allowed in America. Why not? Because they don't want people cured of cancer in America, and they don't want the cancer clinics to be successful in America. We could revitalize this country with health freedom. In fact, in the third hour today, we are going to have Jonathan Emord on to talk about that in more detail. He is a really amazing health freedom attorney. You probably know him. He's been on the show several times, so he's going to break that down for us. But the bottom line is they're trying to destroy us. They're trying to get our economy back down to almost zero because it creates desperation, because it creates a wage slave system. Stay with us. We're coming back with Julie Bass from Oak Park, Michigan. This is The Alex Jones Show.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You may be
tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Hello, this is Steve Shank. What does freedom mean to you? eFoods Direct is celebrating freedom with the Freedom Food Giveaway. Each week in July, they are giving away a one-year food supply. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a one-year food supply with a 25-year shelf life. At efoodsdirect.com/Alex, look for the new Patriot Pack, a $149 12-day supply of food, plus accessories. That is free with a purchase of $235 or more. Call 800-409-5633 or on the web efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a free one-year supply of food. Then listen to Alex Jones to announce the weekly winners. Also, the first 50 to register each day win a $50 subscription to the Voice of Reason e-newsletter. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633.
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger from Natural News, filling in for Alex Jones today here on the Alex Jones Show. Thank you for listening in. We've got a great show happening for you today. And in fact, in this segment, we are joined by Julie Bass from Oak Park, Michigan. As promised, bringing you Julie Bass here. Let me give you a little bit of background about this situation in case you're not familiar with it. Julie Bass is being threatened with up to 93 days of jail time for the amazing crime, the crime of planting a vegetable garden in her own front yard. Yeah, we've been covering this on Natural News, and Infowars.com has articles on this as well. This is real. This is really happening in America today. The bureaucrats are out of control with suppressing food freedom. It's not just the food safety bill from last year. Remember Senate Bill 510, Food Safety Modernization Act, that allowed the FDA to come in and inspect small greenhouses and small farms and required loads of paperwork just to be able to sell your own food to your own neighbors. Now they're suppressing the actual farms themselves, and they're going after front yard gardeners like Julie Bass. So we're going to be talking to Julie, but in Oak Park, Michigan, they have a regulation that says that front yards have to be planted with either pavement. They're okay with pavement. You could just pave your whole yard. They'd be fine with that. How beautiful would that be? Or you have to use, quote, suitable live plant material. Suitable. That's the key operative word here. What is suitable live plant material? Now, Julie Bass, who will be joining us here in a minute, she says what's suitable is a garden. What could be more suitable? It's food. It's organic food. It's good for you. It prevents cancer. You can teach your children how to garden. How wonderful is that? It's local food. It's good for the environment. It's good for your health. It's good for everybody. It's good for the air in the city. It makes the city a more beautiful place. But Kevin Rulkowski, the city planner from Oak Park, Michigan, he has some strange dictionary from Mars, and in that dictionary, he says suitable means common. He quotes Webster's dictionary. That's not in Webster's dictionary. Suitable doesn't mean common. Suitable means appropriate, like it's an appropriate garden or an appropriate live plant for your front yard. Now, it's not just Kevin, it's also the neighbors, these whiny neighbors that complain about people like Julie. These neighbors, they have nothing to do. They're pathetic. All they do is look over the fence and complain about somebody next door doing something that they don't like. It's just unbelievable. And anyway, joining us today to talk about this is Julie Bass. Julie, are you with us? Can you hear us, Julie?
Yep, I sure can. Can you hear me?
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today. Now, can you break this down for our listeners who may not be familiar with the situation? I gave the intro there, but did I leave anything out? Hey, give us the rundown of what's going on.
I think you had a pretty good summary. The only thing I do want to correct is my neighbors are actually awesome. My neighbors are super, and they're supportive, and they're friendly, and our neighborhood is really close-knit, and our neighbors have really been terrific. So it's not any, bad, whiny neighbor or anything who's causing us problems.
That's great to hear. Well, who called the city and had them dispatch the enforcement officers? Who was that?
So we don't know that anyone actually even did call the city if they were just driving by. What we were told originally by the code enforcement person was that he was following up, since I had spoken to the technical and planning director, Kevin Rulkowski, who you pointed out. I had spoken to him about what we wanted to do, and we went back and forth about whether he could find anything or not. And the planning director told me that he couldn't find anything about vegetables specifically or gardens specifically, but he knew you could do decorative plantings, but he would keep checking about the vegetables. So we went ahead and did decorative plantings meanwhile, and then the code enforcement person came, and he said he was following up with us from my conversation for the planning official. So it could be, people have said, oh, you brought this on yourself by trying to ask permission. But, we were just trying to go through the proper channels and do the right thing, and I'm not really sure why the city is coming down on us.
Well, what would they say if you planted decorative cabbages? The colorful cabbages that you see used in cities as decorative plants. They're edible. They could be, your cabbage salad or whatever, coleslaw.
Yeah, so we actually have, things are out there flowering. We've got zucchini flowering and tomatoes flowering and cucumbers flowering. They don't really care whether it's pretty or not pretty at this point. They have cited the vegetables in the warning. They very clearly wrote in, no vegetables in front yard space, must relocate. And then the actual ticket, what they cited us for, even though the language says other, has to be other suitable live plant material, what they actually wrote on our citation is vegetables in front yard, and that's what the misdemeanor charges. That we have vegetables.
That's not in the regulations even for the city. They don't have anything against vegetables written in there. They just say suitable live plant material, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How do they get to being anti-vegetable?
I don't know. Maybe Kevin Rulkowski had some really traumatic childhood experience with a broccoli or something. Somebody, got hit in the head with a tomato. I'm not sure, but they have decided that suitable means not vegetables.
All right. So in their minds, so they're making a subjective decision of what they think is beautiful. What if the city passes a code that says you can't wear non-beautiful shirts?
Yeah, so we probably would get ticketed for that as well, because I don't know if Kevin Rulkowski has the same taste as I do in wardrobe.
Exactly.
That's exactly the problem, is these very ambiguous, code things, and then they expect people to follow code, but nobody really knows exactly what they mean, so it leaves the city room to just harass you at will if they decide that they have something against you.
Now, were you aware of how much tyranny is present in even local government before this happened? I mean, did you follow anything about what's happening with the government and our freedoms and our rights, or did all of this just sort of happened for you spontaneously out of this gardening situation?
I follow politics in a general sense. I have some sense of what the federal government is doing. On a local level, though, especially a little city like Oak Park, we've always had very friendly relations with everybody. We wave at the police when they drive by. Everybody smiles. Everybody's polite. It's very, very small-town Midwesty. So to have something like this where it just turns into this ugly, ugly mess, that's something I never, ever would have anticipated.
Yeah, and you, just in your defense, too, you weren't trying to make a big national issue of this. This sort of exploded outside of your control, right?
Yeah, we actually were. I mean, like I said, we called the city before we did anything. We tried to be 100% in compliance with what they told us originally, which was decorative plantings are allowed. Never a mention of not sowing vegetables. In fact, we specifically had asked him about vegetables, and he said he couldn't find anything. So we thought we were just doing what we had permission to do. We never expected this to become a gigantic, huge, a polarizing issue for people like it is.
And now you're getting national coverage, not just here on the Alex Jones Show, but other media sources have been talking to you, right? Can you give us a sense of how big this story has become?
We're getting people commenting on the blog from Australia, from Tunisia, from England, from other places in Africa. We've had people from New Zealand writing in for support. We've had people from Scandinavia.
What about the U.S. media? Are they covering this?
They really are. We're getting calls every day. My kids are joking that, they're fighting over who gets to be the secretary next and take messages. But pretty much every single day now is juggling between doing interviews, taking phone calls, responding to emails, going on different shows. People really, a lot of people are invested in this issue from different standpoints. We've got the gardening people and the sustainability people and the water conservation people and the environmental people and the freedom people, and everyone sees part of their own issue encapsulated in what we're doing.
Right. Isn't that cool? And by the way, you're really well spoken, Julie, and I hope that you realize what an important role you are now playing in the food freedom movement. And I think that's the key issue. It could be environment, it could be local food, but food freedom is really a big part of it. But you're doing a great job. And can you give out your blog address so people can stay informed about you?
Sure. It's oakparkhatesveggies.wordpress.com.
All right, let me repeat that. oakparkhatesveggies.wordpress.com. Maybe we can bring that up for the PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. But you're doing a great job, Julie, and I'm really glad that you found the courage to just stand up and speak out on your truth. Are you going to take this to a different level now? Maybe do public speaking? Maybe write a book about it? What's your plan?
My plan is to give my kids a lot more attention than they've been getting. My plan is to try to, do some homemade baked goods so the kids can stop eating junk food. My plan is really just to put my life back together as soon as the city takes the pressure off. I'm happy to go back to just being regular suburban mom.
Now, in the meantime, you are still facing a court date.
Yes.
You are facing potentially 93 days in jail?
Mm-hmm.
That still hangs over your head. Is there any indication that the Oak Park City officials are going to back off of this, or are they just driving it out of ego now?
Well, I did read something from another source. I can't remember where, but the mayor did tell somebody he doesn't want me to do jail time, which is really nice and really sweet. I don't know if the mayor actually has anything directly to do with the court system or not. It's my understanding that they're separate branches of government, but, at least it was nice of him to make that statement so I can say, here's one more person who wants me to stay out of jail.
Well, what an incredible idea. I mean, maybe the mayor's on your side. I don't know where your mayor stands on this issue, but just to make that statement to say we don't want you to have jail time, because you're facing it. I mean, jail is taking away all of your rights. Jail is a place where you have no Bill of Rights.
Right.
You don't have freedom of speech. You don't have freedom of movement. You don't even, your garden would die out of neglect, and that would make it look even worse, which would make the city look worse.
Right.
How do they think throwing you in jail is going to help Oak Park look better?
I think that at first it happened so quickly, they didn't really think about having Oak Park look better. I think they just were very focused on trying to bully me into taking the garden away and trying to intimidate me. And, when the warning didn't work, then they issued the citation. And when the citation didn't work, we had the court date. And when the court date didn't work, they said, it's a misdemeanor and there's the jail time attached. So they keep kind of bumping up the stakes of things, I think just to get us to be quiet and stop talking to the media and to just be intimidated and going away.
But you wouldn't back down.
You know, unfortunately, I've been taught to stand up to bullies, and that's what we're trying to do.
Good for you. And by the way, I remember Kevin Rulkowski saying, I think on a Fox interview, he was saying that you asked for the trial. It's all your fault. You asked for the trial. Yeah. What an incredible spin. Can you explain that?
Sure. I mean, when we were in court and the judge was explaining that in most communities what we're doing would only be an ordinance violation, but in Oak Park it actually is a misdemeanor where we're going to need to have a trial. And she said we could either have a trial in front of just the judge or we could have a trial by jury. And I said, okay, we'll take the jury, please.
Sure.
And they've turned that into me asking, you know, like somehow I went and knocked on the courthouse door and said, hey, could you guys take me to trial for something? Could you guys, you know, give me a trial? I really want to be persecuted by the city. I don't have enough to do. So it's kind of absurd, but...
Well, that's what he makes it sound like. He makes it sound like you're the one who wanted to go to trial. How dare you? How dare you not give in to our regulatory enforcement? You should take our deal and put your head down and kiss our boots and walk away and stop asking for a trial by your peers.
Right, pretty much. I mean, I don't even know how they could credibly spin it to that. You know, I don't know how a citizen would just go to the court and ask for a trial about nothing. You know, the city has to accuse, the city has to bring charges, the city has to initiate all of the actions, and we're not doing too much boot kissing, so I guess that's really making them upset.
I guess it is. Do you have any idea how many emails or phone calls the city planner's office of Oak Park has been receiving? We've had some word of that, but maybe you have more inside information.
I know on one of the days that the media spoke to them, somebody said that they had received 2,000 phone calls. I know that they're getting thousands of emails. I know that for a time their email system was just bouncing back emails. It wasn't even accepting any new emails. I know that the phone system is either a lot of times busy or off the hook. People can't get through. And we had a friend who went into City Hall, and it was the secretaries just sitting there, and they said all of the officials were behind closed doors, not talking to anybody, and they said that the secretaries should just deal with it. So, you know, if people want to do something, they should send some cupcakes to the secretaries or something for trying to do such a great job in the face of so much publicity.
Yeah, well, isn't it interesting? The city officials now, they're circling the wagons, shutting the doors. It's all going to be conversations in secret. They're still plotting against you. You know, if they had any sense of public relations, I mean, if they had any experience at all, they would issue an apology, they would back down, and they would make this a non-news issue, and it would fade away in 24 hours.
Right. It's, you know, all along there've been people, very few, but there've been people who said, I'm just looking for 15 minutes of fame, or I'm just looking to, you know, make myself a household name, and really nothing to be further from the truth. Really, if the city hadn't been pushing this at every step of the way and adding fuel to the fire, this would all have just gone away. My neighbors would just be helping us in the garden. We would just be eating fresh vegetables, and everyone would be happy. So it's really been the city the entire time.
That's right. The city's pushing this agenda, and they're angry that you didn't give in, and now they're going to try to prove that they're in control.
Right.
You know, how dare you stand up to their regulatory rules, which aren't even rules. It's not even written that you can't have vegetables. They're just making this up. They're making it up as they go along.
And that's what I'd really like people to remember, you know, when they're debating the correctness or the wrongness or anything. It's just that there's actually no rule that I'm violating. There's nothing that I set out to do wrong. It wasn't meant to be an act of civil disobedience. Their own rules really don't say anything about what I'm doing that would be in violation.
Well, and this is going to be, I think, a national issue. And those of you listening today, I encourage you, grow your own food. Grow it in your backyard if you want, but grow it in your front yard if you want. Make a statement. Grow what we used to call victory gardens.
Yeah.
Exercise food freedom. You remember that? I mean, you've heard of those, right, Judy? Victory gardens?
I was a history teacher, actually. Yeah, so I taught about it, and now I've had, I have a very elderly neighbor who came down the block when we first planted it, and she just got this huge smile, and she said, this reminds me of the victory gardens from when I was growing up. This is so great. And she was like almost crying. She was so touched, and she was so excited. So, yeah, a lot of people since then have said to us, this is a victory garden. You should call it a victory garden. And I'm hoping that that's what it's going to end up being. I'm hoping it's going to be a garden that symbolizes victory.
You know what? You should. I mean, I think call it a victory garden. Call it a food freedom garden. Make the point even stronger.
Okay.
And I'm curious, by the way, do you practice organic gardening techniques, or is it a conventional? It's all organic, huh?
All organic.
Good for you. And you're teaching your kids how to garden.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that's not allowed in America. You can't teach children anything that's not on the official agenda.
Yeah, apparently this is a real controversial thing, to take a seed and plant it and then water it. It's just, I don't know, where will the madness end?
Oh, yeah, you know what? They don't want kids learning that stuff because then they might have their own independent food supply and they wouldn't be dependent on government food stamps.
Pretty much.
Yep, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Now, also, for those who want to take action who are listening to this, because a lot of people want to help you out and be in support, should they keep calling Oak Park, or is it just too much now?
I really have no sense of whether it's too much, not enough. I know that there's a petition online that people have been signing.
All right, Julie, we gotta take a break. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the other side with more with Julie Bass right here on the Alex Jones Show. Thanks for joining us, and stay with us.
Hey, Brian, if you could do just one thing today to ensure your family's food security, what would it be?
That's easy, Bill. I'd head straight to SoupBeanSurvival.com.
SoupBeanSurvival.com?
I know, Bill, it sounds crazy, but this ancient secret has been around for over 8,000 years, and it truly is nature's super survival food.
Really, Brian? The #1 survival food? Well, certainly the forgotten survival food.
Absolutely, Bill. The folks at SoupBeanSurvival.com scoured our planet to find the very best heirloom seeds, to truly find nature's super survival food.
Brian, these aren't grocery store beans, are they?
No way, Bill. You're not going to find these beans in any grocery store. These are the absolute highest quality beans in the world. Visit SoupBeanSurvival.com. That's SoupBeanSurvival.com for all the information you're going to need for nature's super survival food.
They helped to create a new world order. We are part of a new world order.
A new world order based upon collective action.
Invisible Empire is a damning indictment of the globalists through their own words and documents.
The New World Order really is a tool for addressing a new world of possibilities.
It means all the world under their control.
The United Nations would take over America. The Trilateral Commission would control the world.
Invisible Empire chronicles how men of power and influence have worked in stealth for centuries to establish an oppressive world government.
I believe, first of all, that we now need nothing short of a world constitution for the global financial system.
Global governance with the establishment of the G20.
So it's going to be an inner ruling elite and then everyone else. And I got news for you. You're everyone else.
Invisible Empire. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, or watch it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
GCN listeners, why have you been hearing so much about Dermatol, the all-natural, all-purpose first aid spray? Because it's the must-have first aid product you need in your preparedness kit. Dermatol is made in America by Americans who know there's a more affordable, natural way to treat cuts, burns, bites, rashes, shingles, boils, and many other skin problems. Dermatol is gentle enough for diaper rash, powerful enough for bed sores, and harmless to the eyes and mouth. It's great for the whole family, even your family pets. Dermatol is antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral, and not diminished by freezing, extreme heat, or years in storage. Dermatol is an absolute must for any first aid or preparedness kit. Dermatol's soothing, rapid restoration of injured skin is so effective, it's guaranteed. Order yours today. Call 800-217-6677. 800-217-6677. That's 800-217-6677. Efficient, economical, effective. Spray it all with Dermatol.
Yeah, we are back on the Alex Jones Show. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in for Alex. We're working on other projects today because he's a workaholic like me. Yeah, we all are. And we're joined today by Julie Bass. She is joining us by phone. She's the woman from Oak Park, Michigan, threatened with 93 days of jail time for growing a victory garden in her own front yard. Now, Julie, what's the court date? And are you going to be able to keep us informed along the way here? Because we want to cover your story and find out where this is headed.
So our next court date is July 26th. That's going to be a pretrial. and I'm pretty diligent about updating the blog. Anytime there's anything to report or anytime there's something, that's happening new, I try to put it pretty soon on the blog. So, if people want to follow what's going on, they're welcome to check in. I know there's also a Facebook page that my friend started, and that's just gone crazy. I hear that there are thousands of people on there all the time.
What's the Facebook tag for that?
I'm not sure. I know that my husband put a link to it on the right side of the blog.
Okay.
Really, though, I guess the source for official information would kind of be the blog, because that's me writing, so that anything that's there, is actually truthful and has been, people can say whatever they want on Facebook, but my blog is actually me. So.
Okay, that's oakparkhatesveggies.wordpress.
Yeah.
Right, .com. Mm-hmm. The way they're treating you, it's almost like they think you're growing marijuana in your front yard or something, isn't it?
I think actually in Michigan it's legal now to grow a certain amount of marijuana as long as you have a medical license. So could be we'd have an easier time if we just switched over to a marijuana garden.
That's it.
Yeah.
Dig up the tomatoes, plant pot,
right,
and the city will leave you alone.
Right, and my kids might be a little more mellow. So.
Oh, wow. Oh man, what is our country coming to? Now, are you going to actually make something special out of these Freedom tomatoes that you're growing? I mean, you could sell tomato paste on eBay for like $500 a jar now because they're famous tomatoes.
Yeah, my son kind of joked about that, and I'm just so in disbelief. This is all so surreal to me. At this point, I'm hoping that we're able to grow enough so that my kids can just have some, and if we have extra, we can share with the neighbors. And I've never really had a garden before, so I think, have a concept of how much produce I'm actually going to get out of the garden.
Wait a minute, this is your first garden?
We had last year a few little planter boxes, but yeah, this is the first time, which I said jokingly to my husband after we put it out in front, this might have been a bad idea, because if we kill everything, it's going to be a pretty public failure.
Here's the thing, the food prices are skyrocketing across not just the country, but around the world.
Right.
Because we have these droughts, we have the floods, we have the crazy weather, radical things happening all over the planet.
Right.
Food prices are going up. Right. And what you are growing, you could probably grow $500 to $1,000 worth of vegetables in your own front yard.
I sure hope so, man. If that happens, I would be one of the happiest people. I would be so pleasantly surprised. That would be fantastic.
Well, this is such a solution for people who are on food stamps. They could go out and grow half of their food needs in their own yard. I grow too. I grow gardens all the time. Been doing it for years. Okay. At one point, I was growing 70% of my own diet out of my garden.
Wow.
That was in South America where the climate was different. But look, this is a solution for people. So why wouldn't the city come to you and say, Julie, you should be our spokesperson for healthy, happy cities?
I think the city's very much trying to stay mired in its 1954 mentality. Somebody actually wrote a really, really incorrect article that was on Time on their website, and basically stressed but she was positive, and she said, Oak Park is so into conformity, and it's so nice to be there because everything's exactly the same, and it's so good to be there because nothing ever changes. And people commented like, "Ooh, that's like a Stepford town," that's.
Oh yeah, when you drive down the road, you don't even know what road you're on because everything looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Julie, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Sure.
But we're going out to break here. I want to thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you for what you're doing, for your courage. And folks, check out oakparkhatesveggies.wordpress.com for an update on this situation. Julie, good luck to you. Take care. Hope to talk to you again.
You have a great day.
All right, folks, we'll be back after the break here on The Alex Jones Show.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, editor of Natural News, filling in for Alex today. And we have Paul Joseph Watson joining us during this half hour. And at the bottom of the hour, we're going to be joined by Jeffrey Smith with a GMO update. That's going to be very interesting. And Paul Watson, as you know, one of the best investigative writers out there on the front lines of the freedom movement, constant contributor to prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. Mr. Watson, are you with us right now?
Yes, Mike. Good to be back on the air with you today.
Good to be with you too, man. Always great to banter with you and chat with you here. I understand you're going to be bringing us some information, updates about the war in Libya today.
That's right, Mike. It appears as if we're approaching the end game in Libya. This is kind of floating under the radar today, what with all the debt news and the economic fallout going on. But basically, we're either going to see Colonel Gaddafi step down or see Tripoli leveled by NATO bombardment. And this is something that's going to happen within weeks rather than months. So I want to give a pretty big update on the situation there at the moment.
All right, I want to ask you more details about that on the other side of this break as well, because, you know, not all the radio affiliates carry this segment, but it sounds like the details here are getting pretty gruesome, and this is still all taking place in a context of not war. Somehow this is not war. How does that work?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the arrogance with which the Obama administration has pursued this campaign by labeling it a kinetic military action and not a war, which is kind of in conflict to the fact that there have been over 800 bombing runs involving U.S. warplanes. Now, according to Libyan and other third-party authorities, over 1,000 civilians killed. Obviously, those numbers are highly disputed on either side. But for sure, there have been civilian deaths. In the past few weeks, we've had bombings of universities, hospitals and apartment buildings, and all those have been confirmed. NATO had to admit to the fact that in those three cases, the smart bombs had gone astray and civilians had been killed. Basically, what's happening now, certainly in Europe, and as you've seen over the past couple of days in the US, the debt situation is so out of control that basically there's no money to fund this anymore. Obama said it would be days, not weeks. We're now nearly 4 months into it, and the Pentagon basically has run out of ideas on how to creatively fiddle the accounts to move money to pay for all these bombs and these bombing missions. So the NATO forces are completely exhausted, and they're having to settle for second best, which is this kind of second choice Gaddafi step down, whereby his government would maintain a lot of influence in the country. So when we come back, I just want to go over the fact that this is now in the works, and it's basically going to be imminent, but it could still go the other way. Gaddafi could still change his mind. Yeah. Very
volatile situation, and you got to love the word games that the administration is playing with all of this. Like you said, days, not weeks, days, but it's been months. And they talk about kinetic action. Well, you know, here's an example. This is kinetic action. I'm holding a pen. That's kinetic action when I drop a pen. Kinetic action is something small and simple like that. Not war. That's something very, very different. The word games are out of control, especially with the debt ceiling now approaching. It seems like they're getting desperate, Paul. Now, I know we're going to a break here. On the other side of this, Paul Joseph Watson will break this down in far more detail. the situation in Libya, and the endgame strategy that's coming our way. Stay with us here on The Alex Jones Show.
Baby, baby, I'm gonna leave you.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
I have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. Hi folks, this is Alex Jones, and I want to tell you about the Silver Lungs generator. Now you can produce pure and endless colloidal silver and deliver the solution directly into the bloodstream by breathing the solution through the lungs. The respiratory system is the first line of defense for airborne pathogens and viruses. The Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced nano-silver solutions and also delivers the silver nanoparticles instantly into the bloodstream. With continued legislation threatening the sale of nano-silver products, you can now produce pure and endless colloidal silver with the Silver Lungs generator. Very easy to follow step-by-step instructions are provided, making production fast and simple. Go to www.silverlungs.com today and learn more about the breakthrough technology of the Silver Lungs generator. That's www.silverlungs.com. A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Welcome back, folks. Mike Adams here, filling in for Alex Jones today, and we are talking with Paul Joseph Watson about the situation in Libya. And Paul, before the break, you're giving us some details. Can you give us the rundown again, the end game plan for Libya, and this? Can you comment also on this Gaddafi suicide plan for the capital that's being reported in the news?
Yeah, well, basically, this is breaking news. We're approaching endgame in Libya, and it's likely to be weeks, not months, until this thing's wrapped up. The more likely of the two scenarios, and this is what's being reported today in Xinhua out of Chinese news and also Debka file, is apparently in a bid to save Tripoli from basically being completely flattened, Gaddafi has agreed to cut a deal which is being mediated by the Russians and the French to step down from power, but it comes with a lot of attachments. One of which is that his son has to be involved in the next so-called democratic election, and another is that Gaddafi himself wants to avoid extradition, obviously, because it would mean he would be carted off to face the International Criminal Court. So yesterday, the Obama administration gave the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, permission to broker a deal with Gaddafi that will see him step down as a symbolic leader, but in the long run, it won't eliminate much of his influence over the country. So basically, we have Obama walking away from the Libya war with his tail between his legs. You know, as we said before the break, the battle over the debt ceiling, the imminent downgrading of America's credit status, the plunging economy. All this has taken precedence, and the White House, along with NATO, is basically having to abandon this one. They can't afford to pay for it anymore. We have the debt crisis, again, like America, reverberating around Europe, and there's just no money to pay for the fighter jets and the bombs. So Debka File reports today, this is their headline, "The Libyan war ends. Obama makes Moscow peace broker. NATO halts strikes." And those sentiments are also being echoed out of Xinhua, Chinese media, with the headline, "Obama conditionally backs political solution to Libya conflict." So if Gaddafi follows through on this promise to step down, then the war is over. But as I said before the break, if he changes tack and at the last minute, then the outcome is going to be very different indeed. Last month, we reported the fact that US troops are being readied for a ground invasion set to take place in October if Gaddafi refused to step down. And indeed, I reported on prisonplanet.com 2 weeks ago the fact that NATO was basically at the end of its tether and ready to launch a full-out ground assault again if Gaddafi refused to talk, which it appears as if he's now agreed to do. But the bottom line is that Gaddafi is not going to allow these rebels or NATO or anyone else to take Tripoli without a fight, even though the rebels are keen to go in. You know, they're 50 miles from Tripoli. They're in the mountainous region surrounding Tripoli, but their funding is simply drying up, whereas Gaddafi has these hoards of cash and gold that he's stored, he's secreted away for a crisis that would enable him to fund his government for the best part of another year. But as you just mentioned, we now have this claim by the special envoy from Russia, from the Kremlin, Mikhail Maragov, who says that Gaddafi has promised to line the city with missiles and raze it to the ground if it looks like they're going to come in and violently topple him. So Gaddafi would rather launch a suicide mission than surrender to NATO or these rebels militarily.
Do you think...
So again...
Sorry to interrupt, Paul, but do you think that part of what's going through his mind, I mean, you notice that Gaddafi has stored gold, not U.S. dollars, as his currency of choice. Do you think part of what's going through his mind is if he can hold out long enough to allow the debt crisis in the U.S. to worsen, that he's going to have more leverage in all of this? Is that part of his game plan?
Certainly, yeah, because as we know, Libya has $6 billion worth of gold, and that was one of the primary reasons for NATO and the White House going in there in the first place, in addition, of course, to the fact that it's the richest oil country in the whole continent of Africa. So, yeah, Gaddafi has got the resources to sit tight and wait this out, whereas the rebels and NATO do not. And in fact, also on the US side of it, it was reported last week that the Pentagon was trying to ask Congress if it could move money around to cover the debts that they've already spent on bombing Libya since March. So they're already having to get creative with the accounting. Of course, Congress has refused to sanction funding for the war. So whereas NATO and the US and the White House their funds have dried up, Gaddafi's got the resources to sit tight, and he can wait it out for the best part of another year.
Yeah, well, non-war is expensive. Kinetic action costs money, I guess. Very interesting how that works. Do you think, how is the West going to make sure that it has its hands in the pie, so to speak, in Libya after Gaddafi steps down? Because we always know the West wants to have control of every puppet government that goes in place. How are they planning to maintain control over Libya in this situation?
Well, obviously they're going to first have a transitional government, which is then going to lead to some so-called democratic elections. But just as we saw in Iraq and, of course, in Afghanistan, they're just going to get the most loyal mafia bosses that will basically do anything they say, and they're going to try and get them to run and be successful in the election. But the problem is, if Gaddafi still has an influence, and if his son is involved in that election, then huge numbers of Libyans still support Gaddafi. You know, some people have said 60%. Webster Tarpley went over there and recently appeared on the Alex Jones show, and he said everywhere he went, basically they were pro-Gaddafi. Obviously, around Tripoli, it's more pro-Gaddafi than other areas, but he's got a significant support in the country. So if Gaddafi could just get his people to run in the elections, then he could turn himself into a Vladimir Putin-style dictator who, although isn't symbolically in power, is still kind of running things from behind the scenes.
Well, that's why the last thing the West wants is free and open elections for Libya, right? I mean, they want controlled elections where they can make sure their candidates get into office, and the ones they don't want somehow end up losing the elections.
Well, exactly, which is why they need to extradite Gaddafi. They need to get him out of the country and in front of the ICC. So then his whole power structure will inevitably collapse. But if he's allowed to remain in the country, obviously he's going to have massive control over the aftermath of any transitional government, even if he is forced to step down. But, I mean, there are still people who think that he won't step down and that he's too proud to do so, which is why we had this report a couple of weeks back about NATO planning a final all-out assault, a coup de grace, in a bid to topple Gaddafi, and they said they already had the American, the French, the British troops on standby. So it's certainly not cut and dried yet, and they could still go for this massive final bombardment. But it appears as if they've given Gaddafi this ultimatum: you know, either go or we're going to completely level Tripoli, turn it into a car park. And basically that's what we're going to see unfold over the next 6 to 8 weeks. If Gaddafi agrees to go, then it will all happen quite peacefully.
Right, and
but on the other hand,
then the next government that goes in will have to borrow money from the World Bank to rebuild its infrastructure, and all of that contract money will be awarded to U.S. companies to rebuild. So, I mean, there's almost an incentive to level the city because there's so much money in rebuilding, isn't there?
Well, yeah, exactly, and then it'll just turn out like Egypt, which has now become dependent on IMF loans. So, yeah, but bear in mind that this whole diplomatic solution was Gaddafi's idea. He was the one that proposed it in early April, shortly after the bombardment began. But at the time, NATO rejected it because they thought, you know, again, days, not weeks. They thought it would be a walk in the park and they would just topple him within a matter of days. You know, 3 months later, it's proven to be the opposite. Gaddafi's government has held back NATO. He's held back these al-Qaeda rebels without deploying a single fighter jet or firing a single missile. So this represents a complete failure for both NATO and the Obama administration. At the outset, they claimed it was for humanitarian purposes and that it had nothing to do with regime change. But now the only thing that will stop the bombardment on their part is regime change. And one by one, the countries in NATO have abandoned the cause. Obviously, a few weeks ago, Italy bailed out. And basically, Obama's gone away with his tail between his legs because now he's so distracted with his debt situation. He's basically lost the enthusiasm to prosecute this war.
Right.
And it represents a kind of victory in that sense for Gaddafi.
This crucial mistake of underestimating the complexity of occupying ground with ground forces. I mean, this is the same mistake that Western nations, especially the U.S., make again and again in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Vietnam, going back a few years, and today in Libya. I mean, why do Western governments have such military arrogance where they think they can just press a few buttons, knock off a few bases, and just march right in? It never works that way.
I think, Mike, it's because they believe their own echo chamber of propaganda. They believe that, you know, everything's going to be a cakewalk and that Gaddafi's government people would suddenly just abandon him, that the army would just stand down and flee the whole country. And it's not the case. Probably the majority of people still support Gaddafi, and especially in the stronghold areas, that is the case. Gaddafi's army has the most sophisticated weapons. He's got the money. and he's got the moral imperative to hold his ground. So the fact that they said it would be days, not weeks, again, just shows their arrogance and their stupidity and believe in their own propaganda.
All right, Paul Watson, we've got to go to a break here. Going to continue with you on the other side of this break to get more details about the developing situation in Libya. Stay with us here on the Alex Jones Show. Join you on the other side of this break.
You've been lied to. Lied to by the Wall Street propaganda machine, the government, and the talking heads in the media. The market is in for another crash. Real estate is already in a double-dip recession, and if you want to keep your hard-earned money safe, this message is for you. My name is Brett Kitchen, and after losing 35% of my money when the market crashed, I said enough is enough. I searched and discovered a way to safely grow my money, participate in potential double-digit gains, but also have my money protected when the crashes come. Plus, it could save you thousands in taxes. I want you to get a free copy of my new book, Safe Money Millionaire, where I share this powerful tool that people like Walt Disney and J.C. Penney used to safely grow their wealth. Call 1-800-675-1640 right now to get your free copy. Again, that's 1-800-675-1640. I'm giving away a limited number of copies today, so call 1-800-675-1640.
If you drive for a living, you don't get paid to stop or wait in line. Keep your wheels moving with Pre-Pass. Bypass way stations, fly-by port of entry facilities. Stay moving at highway speed while the guy without Pre-Pass waits in line. Save time, save money. Call 888-401-PASS to try Pre-Pass free. That's 888-401-PASS.
What's cooking at PrizeKitchen.com? Plenty! Low prices on your favorite kitchen brand appliances, Vitamix blenders, Omega juicers, reverse osmosis systems, and more. Plus, free shipping on it all. PrizeKitchen.com gives your family the tools for a healthy lifestyle by eating more fruits and veggies and drinking pure water. Go to PrizeKitchen.com. Great selection, low prices, free shipping. PrizeKitchen.com. We help make healthy lifestyles convenient.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As they're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
We don't need to convince you that the threat of forced entry is on the rise and that your door locks are inadequate. Now you can virtually eliminate the threat of your door being kicked in with the Door Sentinel. The Door Sentinel offers standalone door kick-in protection for under $67 and installs in minutes on any door. Turn your home or apartment into a fortress. Get the Door Sentinel at SentinelSecurityGroup.com or call 678-648-6757. The Door Sentinel, always on guard for you.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
We are talking with Paul Joseph Watson here on the Alex Jones Show. I'm the fill-in host today, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, and Mr. Watson, who is really one of the best geopolitical analysts out there today in the world. is giving us a breakdown of the situation in Libya. And I know you have some additional information, but I want to ask you specifically, Paul Watson, how, in your view, in your analysis, is this likely to affect oil prices in the short term, but then also the oil supply in the long term, assuming that Western forces can get some control over the nation of Libya?
Well, at the moment, the oil from Libya is basically completely cut off. But as far as I understand it, these rebels are about to seize control of some major oil ports. So basically, once the Western powers, once the globalists get full control of the oil, they can decide what to do with it. Of course, in the case of Iraq, it was largely the fact that they wanted to keep this artificial scarcity going, and the oil never really flowed from Iraq. So again, to say that they just want to do this to make money out of selling the oil is not the case. It's more about just controlling the area strategically and being able to maintain this artificial scarcity, which keeps oil prices high, which is precisely what they want as part of this post-industrial revolution, as they've said on many occasions. So if the rebels get control of that oil, then that eventuality will quickly become clear. But for the moment, the oil is still cut off because most of it is still under the control of Gaddafi's forces.
And all of this action taking place right now, and this announcement by Gaddafi, is just pushing oil into huge volatility, it seems like right now, right, in the markets?
Certainly. I mean, immediately after the bombardment began, oil shot up. It's kind of leveled off now. So, I mean, we'll wait to see in which direction it heads, because obviously, you know, oil is leveling off at the 100 to 110 level. So it remains to be seen. But, I mean, either way, if Gaddafi steps down or if NATO have to launch this final massive assault to topple him, they want this done and dusted by early September, because that's when Obama and President Sarkozy, the French president, plan on hosting this peace summit. Again, you know, Obama, the Nobel Peace Laureate, right, more troops deployed than at any time under Bush, you know, involved in more wars. But they've got this peace summit planned for September 2nd in Paris between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And Obama and Sarkozy, it's important for them not to still be involved in this war because they want to pose as peacemakers. So either way, for them, Gaddafi has to be gone by September. So we're talking 6 to 8 weeks before this thing has to be signed off. But as I said before the break, it's largely been a complete failure, because it's going to be a heck of a lot more difficult for NATO and the White House to control the post-Gaddafi transition.
Exactly. And I can't help thinking that there's got to be a lot of economic pressure in the U.S. to get more oil flowing and keep oil prices artificially low somehow out of this situation in Libya, because price inflation is causing a lot of pain across America, and that's getting people even more freaked out than they are already with the idea that they won't get their Social Security checks after August 3rd.
Precisely, and that's exactly what the White House is now trying to do. It's trying to scaremonger both lawmakers and the American people into acquiescing with whatever it wants to do with the financial agenda by threatening to not send out the checks, by threatening similar catastrophic events as we had before the 2008 bailout vote, when Hank Paulson went and told everybody that there would be, you know, a complete crisis, martial law on the streets of America if they didn't vote for the bailout. So now we're seeing a similar situation. But in Libya, it's also about stopping China from recolonizing the entire continent of Africa. So it's not only related to resources, oil and gold being prime amongst them, it's also to do with stopping China's geopolitical expansion. So, I mean, they're trying to get this through on multiple levels, but it looks as if they're going to have to settle for a lot less if they merely get Gaddafi to step down, and if his influence still pervades the country, which it's looking like it will do, unless they launch this massive final bombardment, which they're still obviously considering.
Well, these are crucial issues. It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. And I want to thank you for joining us today with this analysis, Paul Watson. I want to encourage listeners to read more of Paul's stories on Infowars.com, where he's going to continue to follow this issue. And again, thanks for joining me today, Paul Watson. It's always good to chat with you.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Take care.
Now, we have, on the other side of this coming break, we're going to be talking with Jeffrey Smith. We have some new news about GMOs coming out, something that should concern you, and it will affect our food supply. So stay with us right here on The Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back with Jeffrey Smith on GMOs.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hello, this is Steve Shank. What does freedom mean to you? eFoods Direct is celebrating freedom with the Freedom Food Giveaway. Each week in July, they are giving away a one-year food supply. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a one-year food supply with a 25-year shelf life. At efoodsdirect.com/Alex, look for the new Patriot Pack, a $149 12-day supply of food, plus accessories that is free with a purchase of $235 or more. Call 800-409-5633 or on the web efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a free one-year supply of food. Then listen to Alex Jones to announce the weekly winners. Also, the first 50 to register each day win a $50 subscription to the Voice of Reason e-newsletter. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365. Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Calvin on the web at 5starsoap.com.
Yeah, welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm your host today, filling in for Alex. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, editor of Natural News. And in this segment, we're going to be joined by GMO expert and advocate for safe food, Jeffrey Smith from the Institute for Responsible Technology. Jeffrey Smith is one of our favorite informers of what's going on the front lines of food and GMOs and biotechnology. And in fact, let me bring Jeffrey right on in here with a quick intro. Institute for Responsible Technology, they're a great nonprofit group doing some of the most important work out there. ResponsibleTechnology.org is their website. And every year, by the way, we at Natural News, we actually raise money for this group because they're doing such great work. So we're always happy to have Jeffrey on. Jeffrey, can you hear me? Are you with us?
I am with you, Mike, all
awesome.
the way.
Great to have you on. Now, there has been a disturbing development regarding Scott's Miracle-Gro and a petition with the USDA regarding Kentucky bluegrass, genetically modified yard grass, essentially. Can you give us the breakdown of what that's all about and why it will impact us for the foreseeable future?
Well, there's two really important things to understand about this latest release of information by the USDA. The first is that they're saying that for technical reasons, they have no choice, no desire to do any regulatory oversight over the release of this Kentucky bluegrass. It's genetically engineered not to die when sprayed with Roundup herbicide, so people will douse it with herbicide in order to kill the weeds. But it doesn't fit into some obscure categories, which has been the USDA's requirements to be involved. It doesn't affect the EPA whatsoever, which looks after certain GM crops, and it doesn't affect the FDA. So in other words, this ruling means that certain genetically engineered crops, maybe most of the future crops that we introduced into the United States that are not food, will have no regulatory agency to look after them. It'll be completely self-regulated by the companies who can decide to put it on the market and not even tell us that it's genetically engineered.
Let me be clear about this for those listening. This is a huge deal. This is huge. The USDA is essentially saying we have no basis from which to regulate this genetically modified grass. And that same logic, if I'm hearing you correctly, Jeffrey, that same logic and reasoning could now be used for virtually all, well, maybe not all, but many varieties of genetically modified crops. Is that correct?
Right. You see, the reason why this is the case is that back in 1992, the pro-GM Bush administration wanted to figure out how to get GMOs on the market with as little resistance as possible. So they desperately did not want Congress to pass any new laws. So they created what they called a regulatory framework, which looked at existing laws which were not competent to actually evaluate and assess genetically modified crops, but were able to kind of jerry-rig them and to say, here's how we're going to review GM crops using this old law from 1914 and this old law from 1950 and this law, etc. Well, because the laws aren't really designed for genetically modified crops, the USDA required that certain plants have actual pest potential or weed potential in order to be regulated. But because they say that this Scott's Kentucky bluegrass has no pest potential and slight weed potential, that they're not even going to look at it. They don't have to approve it. They don't have to do an environmental impact study. They can simply allow Scott to do whatever it wants with its Roundup-ready grass.
So then, as of right now, Scott's Miracle Grow company could begin selling this genetically modified Kentucky bluegrass, and we could have people all over the United States planting genetically modified grass in their own front yards. I mean, this could be happening now.
Not only could it be happening now, although they say it'll be a while before they develop its marketing, it not only could happen now, but already there's about 185 million pounds of Roundup being sprayed in the United States. And the USDA just approved Roundup-ready alfalfa, and alfalfa is grown on more than 20 million acres, so that'll dramatically increase the amount of Roundup. And if we have grasses now getting Roundup, what we're going to see is a formula for a catastrophe. Roundup has been linked to birth defects, Parkinson's disease, endocrine disruption, lower sperm counts, abnormal sperm, birth defects, etc. And we're seeing a situation now where it's in such high quantities, it's in our food, it's in our water, and it's going to be on the playgrounds where kids are playing soccer and where golfers are playing golf.
Just so it's clear, again, for those listening, I almost can't overemphasize this. Based on this decision by the USDA, which is essentially a hands-off decision, we can't regulate it. We don't have any regulatory framework to even deal with this. That's what they're saying. It's a surrender of the USDA to the biotech industry. Because of this, your neighbors could soon begin planting GMO grass all around you and spraying their yards with Roundup just nonstop. Your whole neighborhood, all the playgrounds, all the areas around you could be sprayed with Roundup because of this decision.
Which accumulates over time for months or years and stays in the soil to affect people, animals, and also it increases plant disease. Now, I wrote a letter to the USDA spokesperson this morning and got a reply back also this morning. I wanted to try and punch holes in this regulatory framework. I said, let's say you have a GM grass that puts out aromas that cause people to become mellow or complacent or sexually aroused or highly alert, or which promote hunger or cravings for a particular company's food or lack of cravings. Could that be completely unregulated? The FDA wouldn't necessarily regulate it. The EPA doesn't regulate it. The USDA wouldn't regulate it. So now you have marketers that can come and put in, they can do lawns that attract cats to go to the bathroom on it, or lawns that repel cats and dogs. They can have grasses that can produce catnip to get cats stoned. In fact, years ago, there was a nicotine company, a tobacco company, that grew tobacco with higher levels of addictive nicotine. They smuggled it into Brazil, grew it, then brought it into the United States and put a cigarette in each pack of 20 to create more addiction in U.S. smokers. It is possible with this law that this would be completely unregulated by the USDA, FDA, or EPA.
All right, so now what you're painting here for us is a future of genetically modified lawns where they could have lawns growing drugs or even vaccines. Couldn't you actually have grass growing vaccines in your front yard?
Well, if they're technically drugs and they're taken in, then the FDA may have jurisdiction.
They might say something about that, huh?
But in this case, if it's simply like a plant that has some aroma qualities, you can get different smells from plants. Maybe the smell has some is known to be cause alertness or arousal. It's possible that these can go in with absolutely no regulatory oversight.
Like Viagra lawns.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got my Viagra lawn. Come on over. We're having a block party on our Viagra lawn. And in the backyard, we have Prozac lawn. I think we need to run this by the Oak Park City Planner's office in Michigan to see if they approve of the suitable live plant material of your Viagra lawn. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great idea. What we have a situation here is it demonstrates the complete facade. You see, back in 1992, when the Bush administration told the regulatory agencies to promote GMOs, there was only one of them that had real strong laws in place that could slow down the promotion. That was the FDA. So what they did is the FDA brought in Monsanto's former attorney, Michael Taylor, to be in charge of policy. And through some kind of sleight of hand, somehow he was able to allow GMOs to go on the market and give them generally recognized as safe status. In other words, he told the companies themselves, we require no safety studies whatsoever. If you determine that your food, genetically modified, is safe, we believe you. We believe you, Monsanto, who told us that DDT, Agent Orange, and PCBs were safe. Now, Michael Taylor, who was in charge of policy, was Monsanto's former attorney, later Monsanto's vice president, and now he was put in as the U.S. food safety czar in the Obama administration.
Right, the great revolving door between government and private industry. But does all this mean now, Jeffrey, that has the government basically just surrendered to biotech, just thrown in the towel and said, forget it?
It's not surrender. You see, they're on the same side.
That's right, that's right.
You see, it's not like they're against them and they've given up. They actually, the WikiLeaks have showed us that they've deployed the entire State Department apparatus, which we already knew, but this kind of showed their actual tactics, where, for example, the ambassador to France asked his handlers in the U.S. to issue a retaliation list against countries in Europe that have been resistant to GMOs.
That's right.
And specifically asked them to cause some pain. Now, we know that when I was in Zambia talking to some Jesuit priests there that were involved in the Zambian decision to reject genetically modified corn from the United States, they told me that Colin Powell had tried to intervene in the Vatican to try and censure the Jesuit priests, that they had sent. I talked to one former secretary or the Minister of Agriculture there. He said when he went to shake Ann Veneman's hand, who was the Secretary of Agriculture in the U.S., she refused to shake his hand when she heard that he was from Zambia, who had rejected our GM corn, and just said backward country and walked away.
Wow. It's incredible. Now, you've been doing a lot of traveling. You spent time in India. Can you give us a quick rundown of what you saw there on the streets about the farmers committing suicide after experiencing massive crop failures due to the GMO crops there? What's going on?
Well, turns out an investigative report by UK Daily Mail estimated in 2008 that 125,000 farmers who planted genetically modified BT cotton committed suicide because their yields were not sufficient to pay back their high-interest loans. My friend Vandana Shiva puts that number now closer to 2.5 or 250,000 farmers. And she commissioned a group that actually went door to door to 100 homes where suicides had taken place in a cotton belt, and found that about 95 out of the 100 were directly or indirectly related to the failure of BT cotton.
And I'm sorry, but isn't the method of suicide usually they drink pesticide?
They often do. They often do. It's a tragedy. I just, in fact, read an article this week that they found an official from Monsanto was visiting a town, so they brought him to an area showing that half of the seeds did not even sprout or germinate, and when he refused to acknowledge any fault, they beat him up.
Really?
And previously, other seed salesmen, like a Monsanto salesman, was kidnapped and tied up until he was released by the police. You know, the farmers, obviously, they're ruining their lives, they're ruining their communities. And not only that, but I went to one village where they allowed their buffalo to graze on cotton plants after harvest for 8 years, but when they allowed them to graze on GM, genetically modified cotton plants, all 13 buffalo died after a single day's eating. They lost 26 goats and sheep, and this was emblematic and illustrative of what's happening around the cotton belt. Sheep, goats, some cows, and buffalo are dying or having serious diseases or disorders after consuming genetically modified BT cotton plants or cottonseed cakes.
But Jeffrey, the press in the U.S. almost never covers this. Mainline media almost never reports what's going on with the suicides of the farmers, with the dead animals, with the devastating crop yields. We're all told that GMOs increase crop yields, that this is the way to abundance. This is how we're going to feed the world. I mean, why are we all being lied to so consistently? Why can't we break through that with some honest information? I mean, you're doing a great job. Alex Jones is doing a great job. I'm hoping to play my part on Natural News as well. We're trying, but we're not getting to the masses on this. What's it going to take?
Well, you know, fortunately, because this is an issue where people can respond to GMOs by not buying them, we don't need to have 51% of Americans reject GM ingredients in order for Kraft Food to say, well, we've lost half of our market share, it's time to switch. When a small percentage of U.S. shoppers were ready to avoid GMOs, we think about 5% or 15 million Americans, because there's no consumer benefits to GMOs, they either drink poison like herbicides or produce poison like pesticides, then when we see that many people rejecting GM brands, it will drop the market share of the same companies that have already removed GMOs from their European and Japanese lines, because there the tipping point has been achieved. We already saw a tipping point against bovine growth hormone in this country, where most American dairies, including Walmart, Starbucks, Yoplait, and Dannon, have removed it. So our plan is to go to the most receptive groups and to use groups like Natural News, which has been fantastic in presenting this information to very receptive people, so that people not only understand the dangers, but realize that there's alternatives, which they can buy non-GMO products very easily. And we have non-GMO-shoppingguide.com to help people make healthier non-GMO choices and drive the tipping point.
Yeah, that's a really good shopping guide. I do recommend that. That's a great downloadable guide. But doesn't this depend, Jeffrey, on honest labeling? And we have the FDA and the USDA just completely against accurate labeling of foods. They do not want people to know that there are GMOs in their foods. They're fighting this labeling tooth and nail, and the biotech industry as well, saying that, oh, if it's labeled on there, that might confuse people. People might think it's different. Well, it is different. I mean, isn't the labeling the real key issue here?
Well, I think labeling, obviously, if things were labeled, it would wipe out GMOs from the food supply, because 53% of Americans say they wouldn't eat GMOs if they were labeled, and the FDA is officially mandated with promoting the biotechnology industry, so they ignore the desire of 95% Americans who want mandatory labeling to promote the economic interests of 5 biotech companies. However, Mike, the thing is this: we don't absolutely need labeling in order to create a tipping point. Because if people, we now have thousands of products that are enrolled in this new non-GMO project, which is a third-party verifier for non-GMO claims. There's already 1,200 products that have been verified. Many of them bear the seal non-GMO project verified. If we can drive the health-conscious shoppers, the parents of young kids, the people who are sick, the doctors, if we can drive the most receptive demographics who are aware of these problems to choose products that are labeled non-GMO, to choose products that are organic, to choose products that don't have the at-risk ingredients from the 8 GM food crops, that would be enough, even without labeling.
Yeah, that's really key. And again, for those listening or watching, this is just crucial. If you're eating GMOs, I believe that you are subjecting yourself to a risk of poisoning through your food, and I know Jeffrey completely agrees with that. Believe it or not, Jeffrey, we're just about out of time for your segment. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yes, the American Academy of Environmental Medicine now urges all doctors to prescribe non-GMO diets to every patient. They actually indicate that animal feeding studies show reproductive problems, digestive problems, immune system problems, accelerated aging, etc. It's not enough to simply be against GMOs and be against Monsanto and be against the government. We have to be empowered to make healthier choices ourselves. We have to say it's going to be us that decides what we put in our mouths and not the biotech industry or their enforcement wing in Washington. And so I encourage people to learn more about the dangers of GMOs and to take those steps to protect themselves, and if they have extra energy, to protect the community by sharing the information with others.
Well said. Jeffrey Smith, everybody, thank you for joining us, and you can learn more at responsibletechnology.org. That's the Institute for Responsible Technology, where Jeffrey Smith is leading the front lines fight against GMOs and for food safety. Thank you for joining us, Jeffrey. Great information as usual. Stay with us here on the Alex Jones Show. On the other side of this break, we're going to be joined by Ted Anderson with an update on gold plus additional information. We have a great guest coming up for you in the next hour. I'm Mike Adams. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're concerned about radiation poisoning from Japan in the air, water, or food and can't find potassium iodide, go to RestoreYourHealthNow.com and choose Liquid Zeolite. Liquid Zeolite is hands down the best product to remove radiation from your body and safely removes toxins, heavy metals, boosts energy levels, and promotes a strong immune system. For fatigue, muscle weakness, headaches, memory loss, influenza, joint pain, or toxic radiation poisoning, use Liquid Zeolite from RestoreYourHealthNow.com. Liquid Zeolite is so powerful it was used to clean up contamination in Chernobyl, yet so gentle you won't even know you're taking it. Liquid Zeolite comes with a money-back guarantee, but is only available at RestoreYourHealthNow.com. Learn how to get free bottles of Liquid Zeolite at RestoreYourHealthNow.com. That's RestoreYourHealthNow.com, or call 800-880-9976. Call 800-880-9976 today and learn how to get free bottles of Liquid Zeolite.
Hello, this is Steve Shank. What does freedom mean to you? eFoods Direct is celebrating freedom with the Freedom Food Giveaway. Each week in July, they are giving away a one-year food supply. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a one-year food supply with a 25-year shelf life. At efoodsdirect.com/Alex, look for the new Patriot Pack, a $149 12-day supply of food, plus accessories that is free with a purchase of $235 or more. Call 800-409-5633 or on the web efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a free one-year supply of food. Then listen to Alex Jones to announce the weekly winners. Also, the first 50 to register each day win a $50 subscription to the Voice of Reason e-newsletter. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633.
Are you tired of spending money for metal canning lids year after year? Then stop! Stop buying metal lids and get Tatler reusable canning lids. Made of USDA and FDA-approved food-grade plastic, Tatler canning lids let you safely store emergency preparedness foods for years. Traditional metal lids are single-use throwaways that contain BPA, but Tatler canning lids are indefinitely reusable and guaranteed to last a lifetime when used as designed for home canning, and contain no BPA. Tatler lids are dishwasher safe, perfect for standard pressure or water bath canning, eliminate food spoilage from acid corrosion, construction, fit standard mason jars, and are proudly made in the USA. Place orders by phone at 877-747-2793 or go to reusablecanninglids.com. That's 1-877-747-2793 or go to reusablecanninglids.com. That's reusablecanninglids.com. Tatler Reusable Canning Lids, the original since 1976.
And we are back here on the Alex Jones Show. Man, we've been breaking down the issues today. Just finished up a segment with Jeffrey Smith on GMOs. Get ready for genetically modified lawns coming to a neighborhood near you where people are spraying Roundup all over your neighborhood and the children's playgrounds. Isn't it amazing? It's okay. It's okay to have GMO grass in your yard and to spray it with Roundup. But if you try to grow organic vegetables, nope. Big Brother doesn't want you to have that kind of food. Chemicals are fine, right? But real food, forget it. Now, in this segment, as I promised, we're going to be talking with Ted Anderson. It's going to be a lot of fun with another update on gold. But let me give you a quick introduction to some of the breaking news today on gold prices. Gold is surging today. This is being reported by Bloomberg, a record after Moody's, of course, threatened to downgrade U.S. debt ratings. Down from its AAA rating, if you can believe that, AAA rating. Man, this is like, I wish we had these kind of ratings when I was going to high school. You know, you flunk a test and you get an A+. That's what the U.S. is doing right now with its debt system, failing the people, failing everybody, but getting a AAA rating. And it's being threatened with, oh, we're going to turn it down a notch if you don't reach a debt ceiling increase, which would only make the problem even worse. No wonder gold prices are going so high. So joining us here is Ted Anderson. Ted, are you with us?
I'm right here with you, man. I tell you, the markets are screaming right now that there's going to be a crash. That's what the gold and silver market is saying. I mean, right now we have gold almost into the $1,600 level. We've seen $1,594.70 today. Silver reaching just about $40 an ounce, $39.47. And like you said, Moody's downgrading the United States Treasuries. I mean, the only reason why the United States Treasuries had value in the past is because it was the currency was exchangeable for gold all the way through 1971. And we've been living on this legacy of being the world power currency. And now they're saying, hey, if we don't go further into debt so we can make our past due debt payments, that they're going to downgrade our AAA rating. I mean, Moody's is a bond house, and they do rate bonds. And what they're saying is that there's a chance for that things might be defaulting, which you would think that Moody's would also make the assessment that, hey, if you have to go into debt further just in order to pay the past due interest and principal, then you have a problem. We have to downgrade you anyways. But that's the whole thing there. Italy and Greece and all the northern European countries, they're falling apart too. I mean, it just is. There's a stench of destruction going on across the entire world, and that's why you see people getting into the gold and silver.
And it seems like people are picking up on this now. There is a growing sense of urgency. Maybe I wouldn't quite call it panic yet, but it's a sense of urgency to get squared away with gold. A lot of people have waited on this, and now they're realizing, gee, I better take action now, otherwise it's going to be too late.
And it is almost too late already. I can tell you we had a run here this spring, and for me to try to buy the kind of quantity of gold and silver, mostly silver eagles, to be specific, I was trying to buy silver eagles at, at 100,000 ounces at a time, and I'd be lucky to be able to buy 20 to 40,000 from various different places. It was just dried up. The U.S. Mint can't make enough to meet the demand, and if you just get the common person back into gold and silver, there just isn't going to be enough.
And
now,
Ted, I'm sorry. I want to hold you over for the next segment, and I've got a couple of questions for you. I want to give you more time here, too. I apologize for interrupting you, but we got to go to a break here real quick. But this is an urgent issue. I urge you, if you're listening, pay attention to this. It's happening right now, almost breaking 1,600. We'll be back on the other side of this break with more information from Ted Anderson on the gold situation and the debt crisis. Stay with us here on The Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome back, listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us today and staying with us. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, filling in for Alex today. I feel like I'm just getting warmed up. After a couple hours here, the issues are getting me all riled up here. GMOs, the debt ceiling limit, the skyrocketing gold prices. In fact, I got to read you this from Market Watch. The Fed is saying that now they're interested in another round of quantitative easing, which just means flooding more useless fiat currency into the money supply, devaluing the dollars that you're holding right now and the dollars that you're getting in your checks, whatever kind of checks you're getting, retirement, Social Security, veterans benefits. Those are going to become increasingly worthless in the days, months, and years ahead, thanks to the actions of our own federal government. Now, insurance against that is, of course, found in precious metals. And continuing with Ted Anderson, we are talking about why precious metals make sense, especially with today's debt ceiling crisis now upon us. Ted, sorry to cut you off before the break there. Please continue.
Yeah, no, just the thing is, everybody knows that gold and silver's been money for thousands of years. I mean, like over 6,000 years. You can go back to look at the Egyptians, and when they opened up their tombs, you didn't find fiat paper money. They had gold and silver in those tombs. It's been used for years and years, and you can't print, you can't monetize gold and silver by turning on a printing press. The supplies are limited, so what's there is there. And that's why it's so important to take away the printing press from our politicians. I mean, look, Mitch McConnell is proposing that we let Barack Obama decide where the debt ceiling is going to go. It's just going to become a presidential order. Alex has been talking about dictatorship for, I don't know how long now, and this is exactly the kind of thing. You give the president the power to coin the currency and decide how much is going to go into the system. He can destroy the economy, or he can accelerate the economy at his own whim, and he'll have control. There will be no longer elections. The free nation will be gone.
Yeah, I've never seen it get this crazy, and this is why getting squared away right now with gold and silver makes so much sense. Ted, you are legendary for helping people get their hands on some of these precious metals at prices that are like going back in a time machine. What do you have available right now for the listeners?
Well, right now, presently, I mean, we do have a list of, we have some Mexican pesos, we have some gold coronas, and there's some things like that I have on my list that the market has we haven't increased our prices, but the market's gone up like crazy. So you do get a great buy there. But one of the most, Alex had me put together this American Dream video and Mark Dice's book and 2 silver dollars for $75 delivered. I can tell you right now, just to buy the silver dollars alone directly from Midas or any other company for that matter is going to be over $80 just to get the silver dollars. You get the books and the videos for free for $75 delivered. That's probably where you want to get started, and then you can ask about the gold and silver, because right now at this time the markets are just crumbling as we're looking at them, and then gold and silver is going up through the roof. If you watch Ron Paul confronting Ben Bernanke, you can see that Bernanke is just tripping all over his tongue, and Ron Paul's just dead on right. And people need to have gold and silver. They need to have these silver dollars, because if you're sitting with money in the bank, if money in the stock market, you name it, all that stuff is just literally eroding and erasing the value, where the gold and silver is just going up in tandem. So it's simple. All you need to do is call 1-800-686-2237. Again, 1-800-686-2237. Ask for the silver dollar special with the American Dream. And if you're looking at doing something more, I mean, just yesterday I said people should be getting into the $20 gold pieces. They're trading at about $900. They just jumped over 1,000 for the $10 gold pieces, and the 20 is just over 2,000. That's what's going on in this market right now. People need to get motivated, and I mean now.
And they are getting motivated. Anybody who's paying attention understands that this debt crisis is upon us. Time to take action is right now. Thank you, Ted, for joining us and giving us that incredible offer. I'm going to take advantage of it myself, actually. Stay with us here on the Alex Jones Show. We will be back with more information and great guests in the third hour.
Hello, this is Steve Shank. What does freedom mean to you? eFoods Direct is celebrating freedom with the Freedom Food Giveaway. Each week in July, they are giving away a 1-year food supply. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a 1-year food supply with a 25-year shelf life. At efoodsdirect.com/Alex, look for the new Patriot Pack, a $149 12-day supply of food, plus accessories. That is free with a purchase of $235 or more. Call 800-409-5633 or on the web efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a free 1-year supply of food. Then listen to Alex Jones to announce the weekly winners. Also, the first 50 to register each day win a $50 subscription to the Voice of Reason e-newsletter. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633.
When you're out on the road, the last place you want to be is on the road. But if the unfortunate happens, you'll be glad you were wearing diamond gussets.
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you'll love the way they fit. Put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
We turn jeans inside out. Diamond gusset jeans, made in the USA with unparalleled quality. Our Defender motorcycle jeans combine gusset comfort with Kevlar protection, so you can ride all day with confidence. Order yours at gusset.com. Diamond gusset jeans got it, others don't.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm the fill-in host today, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Man, what a day. We've had a lot of great information already, bringing you a lot more in this hour. At the bottom of the hour, we're going to be joined by health freedom attorney Jonathan Emord, the author of The Rise of Tyranny. Great book. Talks about how regulatory agencies get out of control and make their own laws without congressional approval. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. And in this segment, we are joined by Aaron Dykes, right here from the InfoWars team. A great analyst, a great reporter, researcher who's going to be breaking down for us some additional information about how corporations are all tied into the same core power structures. Also, we will cover the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation vaccines throughout the world. In addition, how that foundation is pushing genetically engineered crops on Africa. They just never quit. Always have ideas, don't they? Pushing more chemicals and more strange genetic sequences on different countries around the world. Hey, Aaron, how you doing today?
Great, Mike. Good to be with you again. It's always very interesting. So what I wanted to talk about today is obviously there's concerns for decades now about GMO crops, what they're doing with Big Pharma. But I just want to point out that this is bigger than Big Pharma, bigger than just Big Agra. These are systems that are corporately locked in with the people we've been talking about for most of the past month, the Bilderberg Group, very important ties in the government. Of course, it's pretty well known by this point, Michael Taylor, currently the Deputy Commissioner for Foods at the FDA, was formerly a Monsanto lawyer, and I think a member of their corporate structure as well. And I just stumbled upon this earlier today after we already were going to talk about this. Michael Taylor, reappointment to the FDA in July of 2009, came just after Obama and the other G8 leaders pledged $20 billion to fight hunger in Africa over the next 3 years.
And fighting hunger is always done with genetically modified foods.
Yeah, right? They've talked about how Obama, the first black president, may be the only one who could bomb Africa, bomb Libya, carry out these wars. Maybe he's the only one who can carry out genocidal policies in Africa as well.
Wow, what a great benefit. I'm saying that sarcastically, of course. But what you're doing here, what's really cool about your research is you're helping people open up to the bigger picture and tying into the overlay of corporate control. Because a lot of people, for example, a lot of my readers say their concern might end with Big Pharma. It's always Big Pharma or it's always FDA. But you're saying, wait a minute, the people who are key decision makers in Big Pharma and in the FDA, they actually go up higher and they're part of a whole different corporate web of control that goes way outside the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, I mean, take Monsanto. On the corporate board, you have companies that include, sorry, that's the wrong paper. But you have Lockheed Martin, you know, the military-industrial complex, on the board of Monsanto. You have McDonald's on the board of Monsanto. You have Sara Lee Corporation on the board of Monsanto.
Can you get a shot of this for TV? I don't know.
We've got all these little charts. There's good sites like NNDB, which is a databasing that'll show you the links between companies. There's also muckety.com, but they don't have all the details. And we can't present it all here, but if you track these corporations, it's just disgusting. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who's funding all this food in Africa stuff, has ties to Monsanto, ties to BASF. What I'm trying to say is this goes back to what we commonly refer to as the military-industrial complex. It's branched out into Big Agra, Big Pharma.
Well, let's read some of these. Robert Shapiro, CEO of Monsanto from 1995 to 2000. He sat on the boards of Citibank, Citigroup, New York Stock Exchange, Searle, Monsanto, Pharmacia, Bilderberg Group, member of the group. You've been covering that a lot.
So Robert Shapiro attended the Bilderberg Group back in '99 when GMO was still a fresh topic. He was the one who debated the GMO topic that year at Bilderberg with another guy from Britain who was kind of a depopulation fanatic. And they discussed the dangers, how Terminator seeds would actually have a genocidal effect on third world populations. But of course, they say that's all for intellectual property rights. And
of course, right.
But this guy, Robert Shapiro, was part of Searle. He was instrumental in getting aspartame approved in conjunction with Donald Rumsfeld,
yes,
who also has ties to these very same companies. You have other former secretaries of defense like Frank Carlucci, who's also tied to these companies. And so this guy, Robert Shapiro, very closely tied to Pharmacia, Monsanto, Searle, who all later had a merger. And then he was also in U.S. government. In fact, he is the advisor who you may remember from about a year and a half ago, who said only a terror attack could save Obama.
Oh, right, right. Pre-announcing the false flag intention.
So we got this Monsanto guy who's tied to defense who, pre-announced that we need another 9/11 or Oklahoma City bombing to save Obama's approval ratings. But he has ties to the Bush administration as well, so he's a nonpartisan.
So what you're describing really is a big good old boys club with all these different companies. They're all tied in. And these are the kinds of companies that get the Obamacare waivers, of course, from Washington, right? They don't have to play by the same rules that everybody else plays by. They're the inner club. They're the ones who are part of the secret agenda that's talked about at Bilderberg. I mean, they're the ones who are given the government grants and the government waivers. So they have these unfair business advantages. I mean, companies like this list right here, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is still allowed to import coca leaves, the only corporation in the United States allowed to import coca leaves, from which cocaine is still extracted and sold off to a company in St. Louis. I did research on this, so I know that. And there's cocaine being made in the U.S. as a byproduct of the soda industry. That's one of the companies in this privileged group. That kind of thing goes on all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure. And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are in particular tied with this report from Truthout. Really interesting. And the title is Monsanto and Gates Foundation Push GE Crops on Africa. So why would they be interested in that? They just want to save the world and feed them, right?
Right.
Well, you've got the reports from Global Research pointing out how the green revolution of the 70s in the Third World was really, in large part, a Rockefeller Foundation ploy for dominance in the biotech industry. Now it's gotten even worse because they're going to have exclusive water-efficient maize for Africa, climate-ready crops, these genetically engineered things that are meant to deal with, drought conditions for Africa, supposedly to feed the world. But then we have all the problems with GMO. It causes, according to the studies with lab rats, cancer and sterility.
Infertility.
Among other problems. Infertility.
Isn't that the common thread? And you look at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation pushing vaccines, studying infertility technologies like the ultrasound that they use on men's reproductive organs, and it gives them infertility for 6 months. Yeah, how much fun that must be. And then also, of course, genetically modified foods now that have, according to many reports, side effects of infertility. Isn't that the common thread, really? It's infertility that's being exported into Africa.
Yeah, real strange, since they called for depopulation in the 70s. Kissinger, when he was Secretary of State, issued the NSM 200 memo saying it was the first priority in the Third World, and he listed specific countries and said that basically the agreements would even be to the point that a global institution would withhold food from countries that did not reduce their population in order to through a blackmail threat, reduce the population forcibly by withholding world aggregated food. But let's go back to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who are teamed up with BASF, who are teamed up with Monsanto, Syngenta, which is a Swiss GMO company, which also attends Bilderberg each year, Bayer, Dow. They're all in this article from Truthout. But then you have Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, part of the Global Seed Vault in the North, preserving the things that aren't genetically modified. And you have Bill Gates saying he wants to control the weather. He wants to steer hurricanes.
Wait, I wasn't aware of that. Is that a new element?
About a year old, but he's also part of this climate geoengineering project, and they claim they're going to take a target, potentially like New Orleans in a Hurricane Katrina scenario, and for a fee, he can kindly steer that hurricane away. But, it's very hard to prove when weather's manipulated, certainly at this point. Right. We have critics and observers always blaming these globalists for doing these things. But the tangible proof is harder to come by. Then you have these drought conditions in Africa, somewhere in Asia, and they're going to supply these water-efficient crops that are genetically modified that they have a total monopoly on. and where there's corporate infrastructure locked in.
Do you think in some way that Africa is sort of a test case, where maybe this is the place where they try out different technologies and to see if they're going to work on depopulation elements in Africa, and then if that works, they're going to bring them more aggressively to North America? I mean, is there any hint that it's a testing ground?
I think we've already seen the kind of parallel, we got the overfed world and the West with its own problems of eating all this junk food and the health problems, the diabetes, et cetera. Hey, that's another thing I saw on your website last week, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation being promoted by these soda companies and fast food companies.
Oh, yeah.
Look here at the board. They're all part of it. This Robert Shapiro guy's on the board for that.
Yeah.
The Johnson & Johnson Foundation guy's on the board for juvenile diabetes research.
No, I remember.
It's tied directly into Monsanto.
You're right. It's all the same stuff. Grocery stores sometimes will have these things. Buy a Coke and we'll donate something for diabetes. When it's the high fructose corn syrup in the Coke. That was at a Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think we did a story on that. A giant, like a big gulp-sized container of soda, and they'll donate a little bit of money for diabetes research to the juvenile diabetes group.
Yeah, it's
insane.
Thing Wendy's, 4 Frosties, and they'll donate $1 for.
Yeah, it's insane. Why don't you just stop selling us the high fructose corn syrup, and we wouldn't have such an issue with diabetes? I mean, that's the research. Make you run across the parking lot to get your Coke.
But that's the bigger problem I'm trying to draw people to. Of course, we have GMO problems and the rest of it, and health problems. But then you've got people like Bill and Melinda Gates.
Hey, Aaron, sorry to cut you off. We got to go to a break here right now. We're going to come back with a little more information here on the big corporate structure that is working on taking over our world. Stay with us right here on the Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back after this break.
Question: can functional magnetic resonance imaging be used to read our minds? Author Jose Collazo answers yes in his 2 new books, America's New Slavery. For more than 13 years, author Jose Collazo has been trying to prove that the U.S. government has the capacity to read a person's thoughts with a revolutionary technology known as fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, and there is proof that it exists. America's New Slavery explores this technology and its many possible applications in national security. Who has access to it? How is it being used? Does America's salvation rest in this technology? These and many other questions are answered in America's New Slavery, the new books by Jose Collazo, available on BN.com, Amazon.com, and Borders.com. America's New Slavery. All Americans should be concerned.
Hi, I'm Mark Craighead, founder of Crossbreed Holsters. I designed our top-selling holster, the Super Tuck Deluxe, to solve the problems of being poked, pinched, and gouged while carrying concealed. The Super Tuck Deluxe is the most comfortable, most concealable holster on the market today. We offer a 2-week free trial and a lifetime warranty.
Visit us at crossbreedholsters.com. Don't forget, crossbreedholsters.com.
235 years ago, our forefathers signed the Declaration of Independence to escape tyranny and oppression. Today, there is a need to reinforce that declaration. What can we do to protect our health as a nation and in our homes from those who wish to control the quality of our air and water? To find out, you need to visit airandaqua.com right now or call 612-767-2777. You will receive a free copy of our Constitution, a newsletter, and bonus items. airandaqua.com. Purify your life today.
Hello, this is Steve Shank. What does freedom mean to you? eFoods Direct is celebrating freedom with the Freedom Food Giveaway. Each week in July, they are giving away a 1-year food supply. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a 1-year food supply with a 25-year shelf life. At efoodsdirect.com/Alex, look for the new Patriot Pack, a $149 12-day supply of food, plus accessories that is free with a purchase of $235 or more. Call 800-409-5633 or on the web efoodsdirect.com/Alex and register to win a free 1-year supply of food. Then listen to Alex Jones to announce the weekly winners. Also, the first 50 to register each day win a $50 subscription to the Voice of Reason e-newsletter. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633.
Hey Brian, if you could do just one thing today to ensure your family's food security, what would it be?
That's easy, Bill. I'd head straight to soupbeansurvival.com.
Soupbeansurvival.com?
I know, Bill, it sounds crazy, but this ancient secret has been around for over 8,000 years, and it truly is nature's super survival food.
Really, Brian? The number one survival food? Well, certainly the forgotten survival food.
Absolutely, Bill. The folks at soupbeansurvival.com scoured our planet to find the very best heirloom seeds, to truly find nature's super survival food.
Brian, these aren't grocery store beans, are they?
No way, Bill. You're not going to find these beans in any grocery store. These are the absolute highest quality beans in the world. Visit soupbeansurvival.com. That's soupbeansurvival.com for all the information you're going to need for nature's super survival food.
I hear the train coming.
Yeah, so then you guys we're back, man. All right. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Mike Adams here, joined by Aaron Dykes. We were just chatting off camera about some of the insanity out there in the world of pharmaceutical bioengineered crops. Yes, you've heard about this, right? Alex has covered it before. This is where they put genes into the crops, tobacco plants, rice plants, corn plants, whatever the case may be, so that they can then grow drugs. Yes, they grow drugs and they grow vaccines right in the crops, and then they harvest those and pull the drugs out and then feed them to people or inject them into people. This is one of the most outrageously dangerous acts of violation of God and nature that we've ever witnessed on planet Earth. It's absolutely insane. Aaron, you're going to bring us some more analysis on this. Why is this happening? Why do they keep doing this to us?
They obviously have something planned because, as I said before, Big Agra and Big GMO are teamed up with the bigger boys, the Rockefeller and Bill Gates foundations, where all the elite money is steered. So why are they running doomsday seed vaults while creating drought conditions and supplying the ready-made solution of drought-resistant crops that are genetically modified? We can only speculate, but we know that depopulation is part of their overall agenda, and which little subsectors directly relate to that, with fear do I speculate upon this. But I've got this headline from 2004, Pharmaceutical GMO, Pharma Crop Interest Grow, So Does Concern. Then parallel with that, I've got this company here, just the overview on Syngenta. It's their board of directors, let's see, Martin Taylor is a Bilderberg steering group member. He's been there for years. They are a Swiss agribusiness company who do GMOs and pesticides, who were formed out of Novartis and AstraZeneca agrochemicals. So you can see where it ties in right there with pharmaceutically GMO crops.
Yeah.
What are they going to do to us? What drug will they push? And will that cause sterility and cancer just from taking these prescription drugs?
Well, that's really where all this is going, isn't it? Because they know that these genetic contaminations of the crops are going to escape into the wild. I mean, that's what already happened. That happened a year and a half ago. They got out into the wild and it was contaminating the crops, and it caused a big uproar, and they sort of backed off for a while. But now they're restarting these same efforts, and it's sure to happen. You can't put nature in a box. You can't control seeds. They're going to blow around and contaminate other crops and end up putting drugs in our corn.
Even if it did help us, there's no long-term testing. But then it's these big institutions, the FDA, the EPA, the regulators, who we've put our trust in to watch these things. They're part of these same Monsanto-type companies.
They are.
Directly or indirectly, mostly directly.
That's what Jeffrey Smith was sharing with us earlier in the last hour, too. You know, these companies aren't against... I mean, the regulators are not against the companies. They're in the same bed, they're on the same team. They're all trying to push GMOs on us. You have any final thoughts as we wrap up this.
The final thoughts is don't only follow the money, but follow these interlocking boards, and you will be surprised what you learned. And we have to fight against this and take back control of our own lives, obviously.
What was that website, once again, that shows the interrelations?
There's two that I'm aware of. One is NNDB, DB like a database, and then the other is muckety.com, and both of them will help you map some of these corporate relations. But I can tell you right out, they don't have all the information, so you should use that as a starting point.
Yeah, and there's also the issue of there's a lot of invisible influence over these companies that, of course, isn't on the record. Someone's not necessarily on the board, but they, like a Kissinger can come in and influence these companies not even being on the board.
Certainly. And these Fortune 100 and 500 companies, even if they do have somewhat beneficial separate identities, are all linked in with these big foundations. You can see here on the Bill and Melinda Gates, you got Coca-Cola, Kraft, everything major going on.
Incredible. Incredible. Well, thanks for sharing all this info with us, this analysis, Aaron. Good to have you. Good to chat with you again today.
Great, Mike. Good to be on with you again. Thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me just invite the listeners to give you a little preview of what's coming up after the break. We are going to be talking with Health Freedom Attorney Jonathan Emord. And Jonathan is, of course, one of the best attorneys, probably the only attorney who's ever defeated the FDA multiple times in court over food freedom and nutritional supplements issues. He's going to be breaking down for us the latest news on why the FDA is going after all our, or virtually all, our nutritional supplements that were formulated after 1994. That's right. Anything formulated in the last 17 years is now potentially subjected to new regulatory approval by the FDA. It's like they're declaring war on our supplements once again, and Jonathan Emord is going to be breaking that down with us on the other side. So stay with us here on the Alex Jones Show. By the way, I really enjoyed being with you here today. We have more coming up. Thanks for having me as a guest. Thanks for your positive feedback. Always appreciate bringing you this information. It's always fun to be here. Great crew here. So stay with us. We'll be right back here on the Alex Jones Show.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You've heard Alex explain how the Silver Lungs generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced colloidal silver solutions, yet many are unaware of the entire function of the Silver Lungs system and how it has been designed to deliver your silver solutions anywhere in or on the body. My name is Mario Cifaldi, and I'm the developer of the Silver Lungs generator. Not only does the Silver Lungs system produce endless colloidal and ionic silver solutions, it also comes equipped with the proper applicators and devices needed to deliver your silver solutions directly to key target areas. This includes the eyes, ears, nose, lungs, topically to the skin, and orally for the digestive system. Be sure to watch our new 7-minute video tour of the Silver Lungs system at www.silverlungs.com to learn more about how the Silver Lungs system works. As well, we are always ready to answer any questions you may have. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. I'm looking for people that have the wisdom to spot savings, opportunity, and recognize risk. Saving means to make money. The Cal-Ben Pure Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated and twice as good as what you're using now. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils that contain no useless dyes, perfumes, deodorants, or antibacterials. Your risk is the hundreds of hazardous toxic detergents that give you rashes, itching sores, and deteriorating clothing called lint. If you want something better, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. Getting a free catalog is easy by calling 800-340-7091 or see Cal-Ben on the web at 5starsoap.com. Take charge of your health now by calling 800-340-7091 or see Cal-Ben on the web at 5starsoap.com. A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. the way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com.
We are back here on the Alex Jones Show, live broadcasting worldwide from, I like how they say, behind enemy lines in Austin, Texas. Yes, indeed, we're in Austin, Texas. I've been hanging out near Austin recently, too. In fact, I'm living right now on a ranch outside of Austin and learning some organic farming and gardening techniques from all the wonderful organic farmers that exist in Texas. Really great bunch of folks. Really awesome people. There's a lot of awareness in Texas about freedom issues and what's going on with food, the food supply. People asking me every day. Conventional ranchers are asking me questions like, "Hey, how can I make my cows more natural?" And I'm like, "Hey, stop feeding them genetically modified corn. That would be one thing." And they're open to that. Really, just really cool people here in Texas. I'm liking this place. I may decide to stick around. It's a good state. Now, joining us today to talk more about food freedom and food regulations, dietary supplements, and the labeling bill that's now being pushed through Congress is health freedom attorney Jonathan Emord. Now, Jonathan Emord is just really one of the top thinkers, speakers, writers, analyzers in the world on issues of health freedom, dietary supplement regulation, other topics. Even he's written a book called The Rise of Tyranny, which explains how the FDA and the USDA and other government agencies get out of control. How does it happen? How come Congress doesn't have authority over the regulations that these agencies roll out and try to steamroll us with? Well, Jonathan's book explains that, so check that out if you get a chance. One of my favorite books. He also has a book called, The Global Censorship of Health Information, something like that. I'll ask him about that when he gets on here. In fact, are you with us, Jonathan?
I'm here, Mike. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, too. Sorry to mangle the title of your second book there.
That's all right. Global Censorship of Health Information. Both are available through Amazon.com.
Awesome. Two of my favorite books. I really appreciate your writing and your leadership on this issue. Now, let's start with the new dietary ingredients requirements that the FDA is threatening to burden us with all across the country to question, or let's say require a new sort of approval of all ingredients that were introduced into dietary supplements since 1994. Can you break down that issue for us, Jonathan?
Sure. This is a horrendous expansion of federal power out of the bureaucracy with the full blessing of the Congress of the United States, principally those people like Dick Durbin, who sponsored these measures, who really detests individual liberty. He loves the government, hates individual liberty, and has proven that point over and over again by favoring measures that deprive people of liberty and have the government basically determine what's in your own best interest rather than allowing you to, which is the ultimate in destruction of individual liberty. But for decades, Mike, the FDA has repeatedly tried to either reclassify dietary supplements as unsafe food additives, put a limit on the quantitative amount of ingredients, and say anything above the RDA level makes it a drug, or otherwise restrict the availability of supplements in the market. And those have come up against significant public opposition. But the lessons learned from those battles by the agency did not result in them changing their interest in removing supplements from the market, but changing their tactics. So now they go after supplements under the guise of food safety or health safety. And they're doing the same with organic food producers. Essentially, the government of the United States, and principally the Food and Drug Administration, is a captive of leading industry. In the case of the FDA, it's a patsy for the drug industry. In fact, the FDA Associate Director of the Office of Drug Safety, David Graham, has said that the FDA views the drug industry as its client and will approve as many drugs as it possibly can in order to placate the interests, the financial interests of that industry. And so we have many unsafe drugs that have been approved into the market. Yet on the other side, where people can take control of their own health through organic foods and through dietary supplements, the FDA has gone after those things with a vengeance. But here's what's happening legislatively and at the FDA with this new emphasis on quote-unquote safety. The Food Safety Modernization Act, which Dick Durbin principally promoted, a liberal Democratic senator from Illinois.
And this is the act that passed in December of last year.
Exactly, and it is now being implemented by FDA. And what FDA is doing is using its new power and new army of agents. The bill will enable in the next several years the FDA to have some 20,000 new inspectors. And its aim, this bill requires every food producer to be registered with the federal government for the first time in American history. And by every food producer, I mean every one. I'm talking about the organic food farmer who gets his food to the market. He's going to have to register with the FDA. The farm that you're on right now, Mike, the owner of that farm is going to have to register with the FDA. And in addition to registering with the FDA, he's going to have to be inspected by federal agents. And they, if they find anything remiss, even if the products are perfectly safe, if they find anything remiss on his farm, they can do a reinspection and charge him the cost of the inspection. FDA estimates that they will raise $100 million, that's a conservative estimate, in the first year of implementation of this.
So just to be clear here, Jonathan, the issue here is that these even small farms, we're talking about small local farms, the people who are selling food at your local farmers market, they are going to be in a government database as a food producer, and they are going to have to apply or at least be regulated by the FDA. All that talk, remember during the food safety debate, they said these small farmers are going to be exempt, but that was a lie, wasn't it? They're not really exempt. They still have to be in the FDA's database and abide by many regulations.
They're still going to have to register. They're still going to have to be under FDA scrutiny. Every food producer is under FDA scrutiny right now. The difference is that this bill puts into the FDA's power base an enormous army of inspectors and a set of requirements that force these outfits to register with the federal government for the first time. And that's the big thing here is this is not a food safety bill. This is a federal government control bill. This bill is designed to take away from the local health and safety people who are responsible for ensuring the integrity of the local food market the power to make ultimate determinations, and giving that to the centralized Food and Drug Administration, which has an axe to grind. It's lobbied heavily by the major food producers, lobbied heavily by the drug industry. When it comes to these small producers, they have significantly created an economic threat to the market share of large food producers who are not organic.
Well, that's what this is, John. This is a declaration of war against small farmers. I already spoke. I have on camera farmers in Texas who say because of this bill, they are not going to expand. They're not going to grow. They're not going to hire more people. They're going to essentially start shutting down their food operations because they can't deal with the paperwork burden. So this is going to drive small local farmers out of business. And as you're explaining, that's the entire point of the thing.
Now, as if this weren't bad enough, then you've got Dick Durbin, who just introduced, this is the liberal senator from Illinois. This fellow has absolutely nothing in common with the founding fathers of the United States. In fact, every principle the founding fathers believed in fundamentally, he opposes to his very core. And so it's not surprising that he is aggressively advocating federal government takeover of various market sectors and massive increases in federal spending and in regulation. and he just introduced a bill called the Dietary Supplement Labeling Act. Now, this bill will require every dietary supplement company to register with the Food and Drug Administration, but also will require them to turn over to the Food and Drug Administration a list of every ingredient in every product that they make, as well as every label for every product they make and all advertising and promotional material. What the FDA commissioner will then do with that is evaluate it and determine whether there's any possibility of risk that could arise from the products. Now, of course, every product ingredient in the world, even water, will at some dose level create a risk. Therefore, at the discretion of the FDA commissioner, she can remove from the market or order you to stop selling any product. Now, it gets worse than this. Under the Food Safety Modernization Act, the right to trial by jury is taken away from anyone accused of violating the act. You have to go through an administrative court at the FDA. So the very party that is accusing you of wrongdoing will try your case.
Are you getting this, folks? Are you getting this? You can be hauled into a kangaroo court and face a non-legal trial, just a trumped-up trial from the same people who accuse you based on their opinions, saying that one of your ingredients may have some kind of health risk that isn't even proven, right? I mean, they can just fabricate this.
And in addition, just like the forfeiture laws, the law here, the Food Safety Modernization Act, allows the FDA to summarily take away your registration, suspend your registration so you don't have the right to sell anything while the agency proceeds with the administrative process. So they take away all your resources, your funding, while they try you in the administrative court.
So you can't defend yourself. You can't even afford an attorney.
So you're effectively guilty until proven innocent because they are taking away your ability to earn a living while they try you.
Jonathan, what is the reaction to this? This is one of the key questions I wanted to ask you today. Is the dietary supplements industry pulling together in some way? I mean, I already heard from Bill Falloon at the Life Extension Foundation. He's interested in taking action on this. Some others, I don't want to mention their names, have talked to me about possible actions. What are you hearing as the health freedom attorney in the U.S. of organization to help combat these NDI regulations, for example?
You know, this is a tragedy that I explained in The Rise of Tyranny and also in Global Censorship of Health Information. This is a great tragedy because, you see, the dietary supplement market, as the yeoman farmers in the organic market are today, was a very vibrant, independent, you would say libertarian group of people who were anti-government and very much in favor of self-help and achieving things through hard work and honest living, people that the Founding Fathers would have adored. And that industry's leaders went to the FDA with a thing called the Good Manufacturing Practice Guidelines, and they argued to the industry that you've got to work with the FDA. You have to allow the FDA to regulate our industry more, because if you don't, they view us with this hostile regard, and unless we befriend them and show them that we're good actors and that we make good products, they're going to attack us. And so they went in with this idiotic conception that if you allow the FDA to regulate products by your own agreement, from the creation of them till they reach the market, process controls over every aspect of production, that the agency will like you. But what has happened is they miscalculated their lobbying power.
Exactly.
And what they did is give the drug industry the ability to destroy the supplement industry, and the FDA the legal authority to come in and act as the proxy of the drug industry. They miscalculated their lobbying power. They're not it inside the FDA. The drug industry
they said, okay, let's befriend the FDA, let's play nice, and then they'll treat us nice. But the FDA turned out...
After years of telling the industry that this was a mistake and arguing at the outset that this is horrendous, you shouldn't do this, I've now had the word back from folks telling me, hey, we didn't realize it would go this way. It's what you predicted then. It's horrific for us now. It hasn't gotten better. It's so much worse that we can barely take it. And what's happened is the big guys are finding out that it's absolutely beyond the cost estimation they figured it would be.
It's going to destroy them. It's going to put them out of business.
Regulation is going to slap them in the face next.
Yeah, I mean, who can afford the regulatory burden, the paperwork burden? You have to individually apply for every new ingredient that's been introduced since 1994. You have to turn in all your marketing materials. I mean, Jonathan, even the drug companies don't have to provide all this documentation.
That's right. And what's really tragic about this, when you take into account the FDA's recent proposal for guidance for new dietary ingredients, is that they're squeezing the supplement industry from every angle. You've got increased costs on the order of approximately $150,000 a year for the average supplement company, and the average supplement company only makes profits of about $100,000 at most a year. So you've got $150,000 of regulatory costs from GMP enforcement. You've got to top that the new Food Safety Modernization Act, which requires registration, additional legal fees for that, and inspections, and require you to pay for the cost of the inspection. Atop that, you have this new movement by Durbin to make every supplement company register. So you've got costs upon costs upon costs, risks that are higher, and this adds to what? It adds to the cost of the products. You have to pass it on to the consumers. It limits the variety of products in the marketplace, so consumers have fewer options. It increases unemployment in a sector that is the quintessential medium to small business sector that is responsible for the growth of the economy. So you crush it, so that you add to unemployment.
That's the thing. I mean, we are in an economic time right now where jobs are scarce, where industries are leaving America, and we have an abundant natural health supplement industry that's contributing tens of billions of dollars to the economy. And now this industry is under threat of being essentially crushed, or a large part of it, based on these regulations. It's almost as if they're literally just trying to destroy our economy and our health at the same time.
Well, for those who want the end to be that the government, the parasite that is government, to suck the life's blood out of everything that is private, that pays the bills for the government, they'll achieve a collapse of the private sector at this rate. Now, they're going to find the hard reality of destroying the private sector is self-destruction for the parasite, but that's a way off. In the interim, they're going to seize as much power as they can, and this is the Durbin Plan. This is the method by which he hopes, and several in the administration, he's the fellow senator with Obama from Illinois, this is their goal. Their goal is to make the private sector function only in the way they plan, and to eliminate freedom to the extent that it works for something they either disagree with or don't understand. In the case of the supplement market, Durbin has a very shallow understanding of nutrition, and he thinks that it's all filled with a bunch of quackpots, and the people who use supplements have got to be out of their mind.
All right, hold on, Jonathan. I tell you, I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for nutritional supplements, and I certainly wouldn't be able to be here doing this show, filling in for Alex, if it wasn't for supplements.
Well, of course.
We got to take a break.
I mean, there's some 50,000
Sorry to interrupt you, Jonathan. We got to take a quick break here, but will you please stay with us? Join us again on the other side of this break. I want to ask you a couple more questions. We have more information to cover. Stay with us, folks, here on The Alex Jones Show. We will talk more with health freedom attorney Jonathan Emord on the other side of this break.
Big Berkey water filters are in high demand. Storable foods are also in high demand. BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com has always kept our focus on the Berkey water filter products, but increasingly, our customers have been asking for storable foods. After months of research, BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com now offers great-tasting, long-lasting, storable foods. These ready-to-eat meals are packed in airtight nitrogen pouches. All you do is just add water, and because they're sealed so well, they come with a 25-year shelf life. Combine our Berkey water filters, which are powerful enough to purify treated, untreated, or even stagnant pond water with our storable foods, and you have a winning combination. Remember, we offer free shipping on every order over $50, and GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com or call 877-99-BERKEY. That's BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com or call 877-99-BERKEY today.
This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now, new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
Will I have garlic breath after I take Ali-C?
We get that question all the time about the world's best garlic extract, Ali-C. And the answer is, Ali-C contains stabilized allicin, nature's antimicrobial agent, and the active ingredient in crushed garlic, but will not give you garlic breath. Scientifically proven in double-blind studies, using low doses of allicin greatly reduces the number, severity, and duration of common colds. Our powerful Ali-C contains 300 milligrams of stabilized allicin. Just 1 tablet of Ali-C is equivalent to 40 garlic cloves. It's effective against asthma, MRSA, bacterial, fungal, and viral infections, and helps lower high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Plus, it's a natural mosquito repellent. Boosts resistance to infection with nature's best garlic extract, Ali-C. For more information and to order Ali-C, call 877-888-7126 or go to garlichealthproducts.com. That's 877-888-7126 or garlichealthproducts.com. Fight back with Ali-C.
All right, we are live back here on the Alex Jones Show. Thank you for tuning in today. We've got more here in the closing segment, but it's been a great show already, hasn't it? All kinds of information. And in this segment, we are joined by Health Freedom Attorney Jonathan Emord. He's been breaking down the situation with us on the Dietary Supplement Labeling Act, the FDA's new regulations to try to approve or deny any supplement ingredients that have been introduced since 1994, as well as additional information on the implementation of the Food Safety Modernization Act, which really should be called Throw the Farmers Back to the Stone Age Act, because that's what it's really doing. Jonathan, are you still with us on the phone?
I am.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us today. I got to ask you, what hope do we have as freedom-loving individuals to take back control over our food, over our medicine, to have health, freedom, and First Amendment rights for our dietary supplements? What can we do to win this fight against tyranny?
Well, in my book, The Rise of Tyranny, I explain the way back to liberty at the end of the book. And I explain this whole problem. We started with a country that was a republic, a constitutional republic, the most brilliant construction in the history of mankind in government. And that was because it placed sovereignty with the individual. It trusted that the individual would be responsible for the existence of the government. Just governments are instituted among men to protect the rights of the governed, our Declaration of Independence says. And just governments exist only based on the consent of the governed. Well, sovereignty has been wrenched from the individual and placed in the hands of bureaucrats in Washington. We've transformed this republic into a bureaucratic oligarchy. 9/10 of all federal laws, not the product of those we elect, but the product of the unelected heads of the bureaucracy. That is the gist of the problem. And the solution to the problem lies in reversing that. And there is legislation that I've written for Ron Paul that would do that very thing. And there's also legislation on these health issues that would get the FDA out of this business of second-guessing consumers and their right to determine what is in their own best interest.
Now, real quickly, how can people stay in touch with you, or do you have an email, newsletter, or something, a website? How can people learn from you?
The website is emord.com.
Okay, E-M-O-R-D.
EMORD.com.
All right, and I hope your email list is growing. And folks, if you want to be part of this, Go to emord.com. Stay tuned in with what Jonathan is doing. Jonathan could be the guy who can legislate our way to freedom. I mean, to author the legislation that gets passed as a pathway to our freedom. And we're just about out of time here, Jonathan. So let me just thank you right now for coming on the show today and sharing your thoughts with us. You are just a beacon of truth and liberty out there. I really want to wish you an amazing year of achievements in fighting for our health freedom.
Well, let's hope and pray that our liberty will be restored to us.
Well,
we were born a free people. We should remain that way, and we have to take back our liberty. We have to vote out of office the bad rascals, Mike.
We second that here at the Alex Jones Show, and I'm sure all the listeners do as well. Thank you for joining us. And folks, check out his website at emord.com, and his book, The Rise of Tyranny, is really a great book. Now, I just want to recap what we've covered here today very quickly so you get a big picture view of what we're talking about here. We talked to Julie Bass, remember, the gardener from Oak Park, Michigan, being threatened with jail time for her crime of growing organic vegetables in her own yard and teaching her children how to grow seeds as well, because that's a crime. Well, you can't grow vegetable gardens in your front yard, but as Jeffrey Smith brought us in the second hour of today's show, you can soon plant genetically modified grass and spray your lawn with Roundup. Oh, yes, we're going to have Roundup chemicals in neighborhoods all across America. We heard from Paul Joseph Watson. We heard from Aaron Dykes. And, of course, Jonathan Emord, just in that segment right there. Thank you all. Thanks for joining us today on The Alex Jones Show. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Hope to join you again soon. The show goes into replay right now. Thanks, and take care.